Hello and welcome back everyone to another episode of Half a Clue Movie Review, the week-to-week podcast that always eventually derails into us arguing about a rating system that we created. I can't wait for today to see how that affects us. I'm sure that someone will have a problem with our rating system. As always, I'm your host Blake, and I'm joined by
Jason,
Philip,
our producer Miles.
I'm going to be subbing in for Ron today, as
Ron
he is not here, unfortunately.
Miles is dressed like Ron today, and he's going to look like Ron, and he's going to make very Ron-like points.
Hopefully.
Unfortunately, Ron could not be with us today, but it's okay. It'll be a fun show regardless. On this week's episode, we will be talking about M Night Shyamalan's new movie, Old, which is, of course, his second movie about his fear of old people. And we'll also be talking about the classic Studio Ghibli movie, Howl's Moving Castle. It's about a castle that, get this, moves.
directed by the legendary animator Hayao Miyazaki.
Yes, he has made quite a catalog of animated films, of which I've only seen one. I think I've only ever seen Kiki's Delivery Service. This week's also a milestone in the fact that they made me watch anime. Anime. My personal history with anime is pretty much Kiki's Delivery Service when I was 6, and Rurouni Kenshin kind of slaps. Rurouni Kenshin. Okay, how do I say
is this contentious to say?
It's like rice-a-roni.
Rice-a-roni.
Well, I mean, because like
Yeah, just say that.
What? Say Philip one more time.
Rurouni Kenshin.
That's pretty much the only anime that I've ever really paid attention to.
They made some badass
I'm
live
not an
action
anime
films.
Yeah.
Okay, this is speaking strictly from ignorance. Is Avatar: The Last Airbender considered anime?
No, it's
anime?
not. Yeah, I mean, anime is just
But
basically
it's made in the same
It's
style.
it made in the same
animation made in Japan is anime. So
Yeah.
any
Okay.
animation made in Japan. Now, it is in the style of what people would traditionally consider to be anime, but that doesn't make it one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anime, whatever.
Well, I mean, and also not to downplay on Japanese animation studios. It's also like, Japanese. Usually, a lot of Japanese anime television series, they call it cuts, which are pretty much frames. Like, let's just say maybe an episode has like 1,000 cuts or whatever. And then you could tell too, because they would just have like one person talking and the mouth is only moving.
Yeah.
Or like when they do energy, like the background is gone, but they just have like the lines. Because that's just them being efficient. They have a smaller budget.
Yeah.
But then in what's it called, you don't really have that in Avatar or Legend of Korra. They have like 3, 4, 5,000 cuts, like 5 times the amount of.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot more, and you can tell it's smoother too. So it's like.
Well, now with a lot of the digital animation techniques, they're getting a little bit away from that.
Yeah,
And-
which is not. I'm not a big fan of. But
I mean, the
as long as it
3D,
mixed well.
like the 3D animation, like Berserk or something like that, looks horrible.
Oh,
but yeah,
Dude, that breaks my heart. Don't mention that. It just it made me so depressed.
I love Berserk, but when they have the 3D animation sequences, I'm like,
Have you read the manga?
no, I haven't. I'm not really into mangas.
Oh no, dude, that's one because I think that is one of the best manga series for sure. And you guys heard about Kenta Miura? I'm sorry about the guy. He died recently. The creator, and it's not even finished.
Really?
The series, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. He died at 54. Like it's like something like a pulse, like an artery in his heart, like exploded or something like that.
Oh shit.
And people are saying it might have been because of overwork.
Well, as long as One Piece gets finished, I'm totally fine.
Well, no, One Piece will be. That guy's like.
Hasn't
Gosh.
that been going on for years?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. It's like on his 1,000.
No, 900. Or,
No,
well,
it was-
manga-wise.
the
it's like-
manga-wise.
Did it just pass 1,000 for the manga?
For a while, yeah. Actually, the anime is like almost caught up to
Yeah,
the manga.
968 episodes or something, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They add some extra shit in there because like in what's called like it's just like in the manga it's just like 2 panels of like one arm is here. It's about a stretchy character who tries to become Pirate King, and he just like one panel is his arm winding up, and the other panel is the impact. But in the anime, it's like a full 20 seconds. And he winds it up, and it has his arm move, and it has like every individual frame of like his arm stretching and then punching because you have to,
I will say that One Piece has this innate ability to make a 20-second sequence last 6 episodes. So,
Oh,
Dude,
okay.
yeah.
In the
Isn't that a
Dressrosa,
thing? Like, doesn't
Dragon Ball
certain
Z.
fights in Dragon Ball Z last for hours.
Oh, yeah.
They were catching up to the manga too quickly. Yeah. That's why I have always a problem when like they make, and I understand why, because they're trying to boost the sales of the manga. Like Demon Slayer, like the most popular anime right now, made it. What's it called? They made that anime because to boost the sales of the manga, and the manga for because One Piece is like the king of manga in terms of sales, right?
Yeah.
That's like over there. That's like
I
their
see
religion.
people post about it on Reddit all the time.
Yeah, it's like their religion there. Like it's but for the first time it was beaten by Demon Slayer.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But it was short lived because it ended right after it beat. Yeah. So yeah, that anime boosted sales and stuff like that. But I'm okay with that because they at least made it when the manga was about to end. But but when it's like Dragon Ball Z and One Piece, oh my god.
Hey Philip, you're an anime guy. Can I ask you a question?
What?
How come guys with anime profile pictures on the internet are always weird?
Because there's something wrong with them mentally.
Have you noticed that? Whenever you see a comment
The
from an
reason
anime,
why they have the anime profile picture is because they don't want to show their real face. And there's usually a reason for that.
I came across an Instagram page for a I don't know, some kind of like workout person. She was like a girl. She's like a fitness instructor, and I think she sells supplements. Her comment section is wild. And every comment that was weird, I shit you not, anime profile picture. And they were going like, arf, 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 mommy, and shit. And I was like, oh man, this is wild. And I think she just doesn't filter it. Because like, there will be like...
To be fair, on Discord, your profile picture...
is Prince Zuko, which is not anime.
We did establish that it's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's my fucking...
It's close, but...
And I should mention, that's my Discord that I only have people I know. You will never see me have an Instagram Prince Zuko. That's never going to happen.
You should do it.
We should steal his password and change his Instagram profile.
By the way, Prince Zuko slaps.
Yeah, he's cool as fuck. He became more... I was disappointed. Did you watch Legend of Korra?
I did not, actually. I've got to watch it eventually.
I was disappointed with Legend of Korra as well.
Yeah, I was disappointed with how... I mean, that's not really... I mean, his character was respected in that. Like, he became an extreme badass firebender and, the Emperor and all that shit. But, yeah, not as much. Yeah.
I feel like
But
I
they
don't
didn't even really
need
focus on him. They, like...
No.
You see him, like, what, 2-3 episodes?
Yeah, like, at most.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has
As
a
far
dragon.
as that goes, I feel like I don't have to see him again after like Avatar ends. I like his ending a lot. Where he ends up.
I do have... I hope they do cover this. I know the rumors there might... Remember the plot there that I was thinking with his mom?
Yeah.
Yeah, they covered it in the comics and stuff, but I heard they might adapt it, which I would like to see, actually.
I heard that originally they're going to make like a 1-season thing about it, but it just never happened. I don't know how true that is.
Yeah, that's probably true. I'm guessing.
Like I think like
after.
right after Avatar ended, they were gonna make a 1-season like kind of wrap up with them, kind of like an El Camino situation, but with Prince Zuko, if you will. But it never happened.
Well, I think that actually Avatar would be perfect for one-off specials because they've got a bunch of little self-contained stories within the comic books that they could, do an hour-long special on.
They're going to. They hired the original creators back for Paramount Plus or something. Or is it CBS? No.
They could do like movies, honestly.
Yeah, they could do a movie, yeah.
It doesn't have to be just an hour. Just not the M Night Shyamalan movie.
Oh,
yeah,
because it back.
You know the whole the last thing about Avatar. Then we'll move on to Howls, but you know how they're trying to make a live action. Netflix trying to make a live action Avatar series. But then they had it with the original Avatar creators.
And then they backed out.
Yeah, they backed out. They said something creatively, which I'm like a little worried. Some rumor says it's about the casting. They want to cast more Asian or something like that. Like, so this is all rumors, so not official. But yeah, as soon as they left, they got hired by Paramount Plus to make more Avatar and Legend of Korra, like not like within the universe. So I'm hoping one of them is Zuko. Yeah,
we'll see.
That could be.
Could they
interesting.
get Dante? What's his name?
Dante Basco.
Dante
Basco.
Basco.
Think they can get him back?
Rufio. I'm pretty sure. I mean, he was in Legend of Korra as a different character.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Because he doesn't voice old Zuko, right?
No, he doesn't. Oh, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I've never seen it, but I think I remember kind of looking that up because that was kind of I was like, if Zuko's in it, I might watch it. I do like the character. I think it's fine leaving it off here, but we'll see.
Let's go. Okay, so moving on to Howl's Moving Castle. A brief synopsis. It's set within a fictional kingdom where both magic and early 20th century technology are prevalent. Howl's Moving Castle follows a young lady named Sophie who is transformed into a 90-year-old woman after the Witch of the West cursed her. In her efforts to break out of this curse, Sophie encounters a wizard named Howl and his moving castle. They travel together through war-torn kingdoms with a group of colorful characters as they attempt to break Sophie's curse. So before we get into anything, what is everyone's familiarity with Studio Ghibli films and Hayao Miyazaki? And what are your favorite Studio Ghibli films? Let's start with Jason.
This is the only film I've seen from him. It's good. I really like it. I don't love it because I don't know. I just don't really like animated stuff.
Yeah, you don't like animated stuff in general.
Yeah, but I definitely appreciate everything about this movie. Everything from the art to the sound design. The sound design was so
really
good.
The soundtrack slapped,
the
too.
soundtrack was amazing. All the
Shout out to
characters
Joe
were great.
Hisaishi.
I just couldn't, for whatever reason, I can't connect emotionally to animation, and I don't know why. It's a flaw within me.
Yes, you're a flawed human being.
So I'm trying to look at this. I'm trying to look at this objectively.
Scooby-Doo's never made you cry?
No,
That's
no.
probably good.
But anyway, that's my.
Me and Jason are
Take
the
on it.
resident non-anime guys in this panel.
Yeah.
I think because you...
Well, it's not only anime, or
Yeah,
anime.
you don't like anime
Like
stuff.
I don't even like
Good
Rick and Morty
yeah.
or
BoJack Horseman.
BoJack Horseman.
BoJack
Oh, really?
You're gonna get us
Horseman too?
canceled by saying that. Like
Why?
everybody on the internet loves
They're
Rick
not
and
gonna
Morty.
cancel
and
me for
BoJack
not.
Horseman.
Listen, if you get mad about someone not liking Rick and Morty, you can go fuck yourself.
Rick and Morty is one of the worst fan bases of all
Oh no, they did.
Yeah.
I used to. What's it called? I'm not gonna lie.
Dude.
That's the only show
my
where
God.
the fan base has
Giant
like
incest
lowered-
baby.
Not because of the show.
Can I give a really funny story that involves Philip? And I don't even know if you remember this. A couple years ago, or this is a long time ago. This is like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I was at Mount Sac and I was talking to this guy I kind of knew, and he was wearing a Rick and Morty shirt, and I was like, "Oh, Rick and Morty shirt." I've heard a lot about it, and he's like, "Yeah, actually, I'm gonna have to stop wearing this because like every time I fucking wear it, people
Yeah.
go wild."
Yeah, I remember.
As
that.
I was talking about this, Philip, who I didn't even know was on campus, walks past us and goes, "Rick and Morty!" And then the guy's like, "See?" And I was like, "That's my
remember
friend."
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was when my Rick and Morty hype was probably the highest. I think that was like right
No,
before.
that was prior. Yeah, that was pre-season 3.
Yeah,
Rick and
pre-season
Morty,
3. That's what like not when it was cool to like Rick and Morty, but that was like before it reached this like
Yeah, its
unbelievable
peak.
popularity right now. But because I'm a big Dan Harmon fan, and I love the Harmon like Community and Harmon Quest. I don't like him as much now. I think he's not a hack, but it's just I don't know. I definitely
Isn't
think
he like
he's
weird
getting
on
tired.
Twitter? Doesn't he like block people for saying anything slightly critical?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he's funny. I'll give him that. He's
loser.
talented.
Yeah.
I'm still mad at him for
Bet
never
he has an
making-
anime picture.
Yeah.
He has I bet he comments on posts going, "Arf, arf, arf, arf."
He doesn't. He still hasn't made. Who's seen
Okay, now we're
Community?
getting canceled by Dan Harmon.
Has anyone seen Community by any chance?
Yeah,
I've seen it. a few
I love
episodes.
Community.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
Actually, I think it's funny that now both Community and Rick and Morty have an incest storyline.
Oh my! I don't think they've seen. No. Why would you? No, that's you just ruined the appeal of that episode. Both episodes.
What?
Ah.
Which episodes? I don't know.
What's it called? But
Yeah.
that specific episode where he's mentioning one of the best parts of it is you find out that
I think
it's
we
an
should get back on
incest
track. We've been
Oh,
derailed
my
by
gosh.
Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Okay, but he still hasn't made a movie. Dan Harmon, please make the 6 seasons of movie a real thing.
Anyways,
Okay, so yeah,
my-
what about your familiarity? I know you've only seen Kiki's Delivery
So-
Service besides this, right?
Yeah, I think I've only ever seen. Like I said, I'm not an anime guy. This is like literally the second anime I've seen in my entire life. But yeah, I've seen Kiki's Delivery Service, but it was when I was 6, so I don't really remember anything. So yeah, pretty much this is my familiarity with Studio Ghibli, I'll say.
For me, like Blake, the first Studio Ghibli movie that I watched was Kiki's Delivery Service, though that's only my second favorite, mostly for nostalgic reasons. I think that if I hadn't watched it first, it wouldn't be rated so high up. But overall, my favorite one is Spirited Away, and Howl's Moving Castle comes in around third. But I love all of his work. I've seen not everything that has come out of Studio Ghibli, but I've seen quite a bit of their stuff. Everything from Spirited Away, My Neighbor Totoro, Princess Mononoke, Wind Rises, and several other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen pretty much almost everything from Studio Ghibli. I've yet to finish Tale of Princess Kaguya. That's like one of their most recent one. The one that's like looks like a bamboo painting, the art style and stuff. It looks super cool. it's, to be fair, I think every time a Studio Ghibli film is nominated, they're like one of the only Japanese animated films to be on like the Academy Best Picture, best animated feature, but and it always goes to Pixar or Disney.
Well,
Like,
I
so
think that
annoying.
Which is lame.
Yeah, and I don't think so. They don't make the best ones all the time, but I guess that's the easiest one. That's the one that people watch the most. Cause like this is the problem with like I'm not gonna go too much into it. When we get into Academy Awards, this is where I go on my big fucking rant on their voting system. Is that they have like the industry that is being represented in the award, they have them vote for the nominations, but when it's nominated, that's when it opens to everybody, like all 6,000 members. So of course, like 6,000 members, like Japanese old man. I used to fight them back in the old Japanese World War II.
Yeah.
So I mean, like as a result, they're probably not going to vote for that. I'm not saying that's the reason why.
The Academy's like Congress. Get the olds out. Like,
Yeah.
get them out.
Yeah, it's just like
I still
on the Academy Awards voting thing.
I'd go with meatball or meatloaf.
Oh, sorry, Meatloaf.
they need to do it like cons where it's like where it's like a jury who watches literally everything. Mm-hmm. So they're forced to watch. That's another thing with Academy. There's no verification system on what they've watched.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're
Oh,
literally...
that's fucking awful.
It is.
If you're voting, you have to have watched it.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly. I agree with that. So like, yeah, they haven't watched. There's no guarantee they watched all of it, and they just like vote based on whatever they watch or what they hear.
But the thing is, if you're in the Academy and you're working hard in the film industry, you don't necessarily have time to watch all
I know
of
that's
these
why
things.
they should pick
but
people that have time to watch all these movies.
Yeah.
I mean,
Get
I'm
us
not,
in there.
I'm
We'll
not
do it.
saying I'm not
I'll
saying
do it,
that
yeah.
it's the right way to do it, but like understanding what the Academy Awards
Drive
are.
wins the Best Picture.
The Academy Awards are not about critical reviews or anything like that. It's about people who are in the industry saying, hey, us being in the industry, coming out of it, this is what we think is the best stuff. And these are, everybody who works on films. So you can't really look at it and be like, oh yeah, just because they say it's Best Picture, it was actually Best Picture. Or just because they gave it critical acclaim, it means that it had critical acclaim. It just means that it had a bunch of hype in Hollywood.
yeah, that's
Dude,
somewhat fair.
the Academy Awards suck. Who the fuck cares?
No,
Crash one.
I say sometimes they get it right, sometimes they do, but it depends. I mean, mostly
No Country for Old Men, they got it right.
yes. So No Control, then Parasite,
Return of the King.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I would agree with that. Okay, so before we even go into anything else, I think the biggest elephant in the room is how amazing the fucking animation is for this film.
Yeah,
Yeah.
looks really
Okay. It's
Okay,
beautiful.
like Hayao Miyazaki specifically. I mean, he's mentioned this many times that when he approaches animation, unlike other Japanese animators, is that he takes a very humanistic approach and he pays more attention to the small little details, like how they pick up a log, how they make breakfast or food, or how they breathe.
Oh, that breakfast they make look delicious.
It
Oh,
really
you're talking
did.
about the bacon and eggs?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was.
Yeah.
I was
delicious.
like watching it, I was like, oh man, I'm hungry now.
yeah, it's like and also-
I got up and I went and got food. Like,
Oh, yeah.
at that scene, I made myself a quesadilla.
I actually had eggs too while making the thing. It was great. It's look, and it also his environments. Like he's a huge fan of nature. He's a huge fan of preservation of nature. So you could tell that in his films. Like it's probably one of the most beautiful things. And anytime we'll get into themes when modernity is added to it, it's like ruining nature and stuff. But yeah, it's like when the grass fields, when they're going to when Sophie and Howl were like walking around and talking and stuff. Beautiful, right? What's it called when they're cooking, when she's sewing, when they're literally like, I don't know, when you have a fire eating wood and it looks amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's insane, and I'm sad there's not as many animators that do this level of attention because they think it's a waste of time.
Yeah, it looks
No.
it's visibly better than a lot of other animation.
Well, I think that just comes down to the animation style also, because a lot of the animators, they cheat motion somewhat.
Yeah.
That's one of the tricks that you learn when you're learning how to do animation is how to make it look like something's moving.
Yeah, like the whole
from far
Japanese
off.
things where
Yeah.
they use like I know when they want to try to show energy is moving and the hand is moving, where they like they literally just have the outlines of the hands like vibrate.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
It's super easy, and now there's like a software just to do that. But it's like it works for some. It works for some animation, but I think I do think it's kind of a lost
When
form
anime
right
characters talk, they look like puppets.
Yeah, and I understand if you're doing a feature, being able to like really get all the little details down and stuff. But if you're making like,
A TV series.
a full-on TV series with so much content, I mean, again, I don't watch anime, but I could be able to forgive that. Like, hey, there's all these stories about these people being overworked.
Yeah,
who
that's
work on-
animation in general.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
especially,
like with
especially
something like
Japan.
this.
In Japan, it's really bad. Like I'm talking about, like they're not even. There's a joke that a famous, like one of the guys who makes does mappa and like a lot of famous anime. He just talks about like how like back in the day, if you made one frame, like one frame would take like whatever, right? That's like he go for ramen. I'm like, that's it. I'm like, all the skills. But he said now it has to do 5 frames to make to eat ramen.
That's brutal.
Yeah, I'm just like, what the
Ramen's
fuck?
so cheap.
And,
Yeah, I
and they've
know.
got so many animators who actually work on these films. It's actually hard to make it very stylized because you have to get, the 24 people who are all working on scenes from the movie and all working on doing each of the individual frames to all be able to do the same style. So
Yeah.
the more heavily stylized and the more beautiful things look, the harder it is to get those people to be able to match that art style.
Yeah, it's
makes
like
sense.
you need to have a strong cohesive vision, like Miyazaki, or there's another one, that Satoshi Kon. I definitely recommend. He did Perfect Blue, which is
Great.
yeah,
Great.
it's great.
Yeah.
It's you guys Aronofsky's right. He bought it so he could just copy one scene of that
Yeah,
to
you
put
know
it
what's
in Requiem
funny,
for a Dream.
as I'm actually going to bring that up
Yeah.
for a different reason in our next film.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, don't spoil it quite
Alright.
yet.
I
But
talked about this exact situation last
You talking about
night.
next week or old?
No, I'm talking about old.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I was-
Oh, never mind.
If
then
you guys
spoil
can
it.
guess where I'm going with that. Or
No, I can see. I can see.
Okay.
There's even what's called. Okay, so like let's just talk about this. Was I mean he already is using digital animation. He usually just hand drawn, but he was using digital animation. Person Mononoke. I would definitely. What's it called? When we get into what films I recommend for you guys to watch next. I know Miles already seen everything, so it's that's definitely that's top of the list.
Okay.
But in what's it called in this one, he produced a lot of stuff digitally, right? Just to speed up the animation time, get the budget low, but also improve the drawing quality in a weird way. So like the original backgrounds, they're all hand drawn. The characters are hand drawn, but then they were digitized into it, so you could just do more like color manipulation into the computer and stuff, which is cool. And also for any of the actual CGI scenes, it's kind of hard. You can still tell, but they draw over the CGI to make it look hand drawn.
The moving castle
okay.
CGI. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that sticks out the most for sure.
Yeah,
I
like
know,
Especially when it's like
by
coming
no
towards
means
you.
think it looked bad.
No, it doesn't look bad, but you can.
No,
I thought it looked like really crisp and it was kind of cool.
Yeah, no, I love the look too. I mean, he did that on purpose. Like he could have hand drawn it, but he said that he wanted to give it like anything with machines, like an artificial look to it.
Okay.
Yeah, to contrast with like nature and stuff. So he purposely like different animation styles.
I think that it works really well too because it, like you were saying, he's a very humanist when he comes to to his style, and there's definitely a stark difference between the beauty of nature and the beauty of machines.
Yes,
and I
yes.
think that he represents that really well through doing that with different styles.
What are your favorite frames or shots from the film? Like, let's go with you, Miles, since you're talking about that.
So, favorite frames from the film. It's all so beautiful. It's hard to say, but
Yeah.
definitely when. Sorry, I haven't watched this. I watched this like 2 months ago. I didn't get a chance to catch up on it again. I didn't know I was going to be talking about it today. But what was her name? The main
Sophie?
Sophie.
Yeah.
Yeah. When Sophie first meets Calcifer in
Calcifer. Yeah.
Calcifer.
That's
And just his movement is so beautiful, and
Yes.
you can kind of see him come to life and the whole castle coming to life. And I thought that was amazing.
that was pretty cool. What about you, Blake?
This is more of a scene than a specific frame, but I just
Were you
kinda
able
like
to
the
appreciate it
aesthetic.
on your small phone, like
I
the way it was
watched the
attended
last
when cell
20
phones weren't invented in
minutes.
2004?
I watched the last 20 minutes on the cell phone. The rest was on TV. This is more of a full scene than one specific frame, but just like the scene where she gets into the moving castle kind of in the beginning, like when it's coming
Oh, yeah.
at her, that
The
shot,
mist and smoke
that
and-
shot was super cool. As it's like, it looks like it might even knock her over. I really liked that frame a lot.
Yeah, my favorite frame comes from that as well.
God.
When it's like a wide shot of the whole castle and she and the scarecrow are standing right underneath it. I thought it was a great way to show the scale of it, and it was just
The Scarecrow slaps, dude.
Really beautiful.
Best
Yeah,
character.
the
Best
Scarecrow is
character.
Scarecrow's
awesome.
amazing.
I love that guy.
I love how when we get into like plot and stuff, I love his perseverance at the end.
Yeah.
Yes. But what's it called? One of my favorite shots is I have like two, which is one is when they get into Howl's flashback, and it's kind of almost like serialistic. You see how Calcifer has Hal's heart, and so center frame is wide shot. Almost everything in the back is black, and you only see like the shooting stars coming out.
Yeah,
and it's like it's very like impressionistic. Like the background is like wiggly, and then what's it called? And Sophie gets sucked into like this black hole. It looks very nice. It literally looks like, and we get into like his influences and stuff, where like impressionistic paintings or 19th century European illusion art. And the second one is when Howl is flying over the black, like they could go to different what's it called? He has a color wheel that takes him to different locations. Whenever he goes to black, it's like a war torn area, and then like he flies over and you see like the ships, and then you see like the what's called the burned towns and kingdoms. And that was great. That was like, because that one's like, they actually don't, I think they purposely don't have it move as much, and just to make it look kind of static and ugly. Yeah. But it doesn't look ugly. I don't think they can do that. But that's a very striking imagery for me.
I think that it's also representing that it's a little bit dead there.
Yeah.
And that it's, that it doesn't have the life that the other world had, because
it
is basically
decimated
against war. This whole movie is kind of a little, what do you call it? Basically just talking about how bad war can be and how there's no winners and how it just destroys.
Film. Yeah. It's a great attention to detail, something John Krasinski needs to learn. Like I said, like I appreciate it. I know probably his animators hate this, like him probably saying, it's moving just a little bit too much. You have to work another 13 hours, can't see your family during the weekend. It's just like great sacrifice. I appreciate all the animators that sacrifice their life to give us this.
Their life.
Yeah. It's like insane. It's like like some of his other works, like he personally went to like Colmar and in a couple other locations in Alsace, France, to study the architecture and surroundings, and a 19th century European illusion art, and to kind of get the look of this film, because that's what he does. It takes a long time for him to make a film. He does a fuck ton of research. He does a lot of paintings, and he makes a very unique style to it, right? Yeah. Like doing Japanese animation with European architecture. That's interesting as fuck. I like it.
Yeah. Does he do any of the animation?
Oh yeah. I mean, like he's there in I appreciate him for that, at least. Yeah. Like, if there's anybody that tells your fucking animators to like slave their life away, at least he's also slaving his life away.
Yeah, he's there with them.
Yeah, he's like, there's this like famous.
Which
video.
is probably why people get behind him so much.
Yeah.
Well, you should watch some of the Miyazaki documentaries.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'd probably be more interested in that than the actual movies.
Process, yeah.
He's like,
are they like on YouTube or?
They're on HBO Max. Some of them.
Okay.
Yeah. There's one
you can
where
also find other ones on YouTube too.
Yeah, there's one where he's like for Spirited Away, where they're like have to slave away. There's like, oh, there's just something kind of off with this creature's like movement and stuff. We have to redo the entire thing. He's like, I'm so sorry. So he's like, hey, he talks about it, and he's making ramen, like a huge bowl of ramen for the entire, crew, so they don't have to buy food and stuff, which is cool.
Yeah.
Like at least, I mean, I heard he's kind of a dick to his son. Like, have you guys heard about that?
No.
Oh my gosh. Oh, this is some juicy shit. So his son, he made a film called Ponyo, which is like his own version of Little Mermaid. And that film was pretty much like, hey, son, sorry for being a bad dad, right? But then guess what? He continues to be a bad dad. So one thing is he's always, slaving away to his work, barely paying attention to his, son. I think it's Goro Miyazaki. And his son's like, I don't want to be an animator. Fuck you, Dad. I'm gonna do whatever I
his
fucking
son wants
want.
to be like a football player.
Yeah. And then guess what happened? He ends up he's now one of the top employees at Studio Ghibli, but then because his dad didn't want him there.
They should make a movie about this.
Yeah,
I know. And then he somehow
he's the Prince Zuko in this story.
He pretty much is. So he got his first, I think one of the only bad Studio Ghibli films, Tales of the Earthsea. So he got that even though he had no animation experience, just because he's Miyazaki's son. And then the crew had to like kind of. He made a lot of mistakes.
Are you telling me this happens in the film industry?
Yeah. And the thing is, the dad was actually trying to stop him from coming to the company. Like you would think it's like nepotism from his side. No, his dad is actually trying to like getting fired, not have work at this company,
What a
get out of
terrible
here.
dad.
But it was like the producer who's like, basically it's like, maybe a surrogate dad, I think, or
Wait,
something
can I
that
quote-
put him
It
in.
sounds
Can
like
I
the
quote-
plot to Pig right
Can
now.
I quote Nicolas Cage in Pig?
Yeah.
Your dad sounds terrible.
I know. And then like so he ended up making it, right? And then Miyazaki's like, I don't know, shame. And then he makes the film, and they screened it for his dad. You guys should watch this. My bad for not sending it, but it's hilarious. He goes out in the middle of the film to smoke. he's just doing this as if he's moving his shoulders and arms and he's agitated. And then the interviewer asks him like, what's it called? It's like, oh, why'd you leave? It's like, my son needs to grow up. My son needs to grow up. My son needs to learn more. He's still,
That is just savage, right?
Yeah,
there.
Yeah.
that's brutal.
And he comes back to finish
Is
it.
he gonna banish his son and like you can't come home until you've made a good anime?
I think that might happen because I know he did From Up on Poppy Hill, which was pretty decent. But then he ruined that goodwill because they made the first CGI, all CGI Miyazaki film, or not Miyazaki film, Studio Ghibli film on it, called Earwig and the Witch, and I heard that one's terrible.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's probably now banished permanently. He's just like, yeah, bad son. But yeah, he's a bad dad. But great animator, probably great leader. Yeah,
Most good artists have their flaws.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
all great directors.
But
are
be nicer
fucking
to your
assholes.
dad or be nicer to your son, Miyazaki.
But
If you're listening to this,
yeah.
But if you had to sacrifice your son to make us this great work, I am okay with
oh
it.
my,
I am okay with it.
I mean, I'm not okay with it, but like, just if I don't know about it, I'm fine.
It's a worthy sacrifice, I think. All right, so let's get into the plot. I think this is like basically a road trip film, an interesting take on aging and
we forgot to mention the reason we're talking about this is
Because
because
the age aspect.
yeah, the age aspect.
yeah,
this
that's
and
it.
old.
Oh no, we did talk about it when we talked about Sophie's Curse and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like okay, so let's just get into it. So it's a 20th century European fantasy backdrop, very reminiscent to. They never say Europe, but it says European architecture. There's a war going on because one of the kingdom's prince is missing, and they assume the other kingdom took the kid. Right, so they have a war going on, both involving modern warfare, 19th century European warfare, and magic, right, and in grotesque ways. And Sophie is like a millionaire. She makes like what's it called, hats and different things, or like flowers. Does some flower shit, and just she's kind of has low self-confidence in herself, but she's content, right?
Yeah.
One day she meets Howl too. She's like, oh, he's a cool guy, and then goes back, just about to live on her life. And this happens really quickly, like the inciting incident.
Yeah, it's like the first 5 minutes.
This might be one of my few criticisms is that it kind of just happens.
No, I think it's okay. I mean, they did have like when she met Howl, like there was some setup because like you had the blob monsters created by Witch of the West.
Yeah.
And so, and then she was spurned, and they mentioned that she was spurned, and she was angry that Howl, spurned her and stuff, and she probably because through them she saw that Howl has an interest in Sophie.
Yeah.
So Witch of the Waste comes. She's this big, really chunky beast
She
of a
was
woman.
great.
She was great. And then I'll get into that character once we talk about differences
I have a
between
lot
the
to
two
say about
videos.
that character actually.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's so she goes into the thing and she calls everybody attacking Sophie. She never had any intention to buy anything. She just went there and then she basically cursed Sophie into be a 90-year-old woman. Like, you can't get hell now, bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the worst part of this curse is that she can't talk to anybody about it, which is unfortunate. But after she got cursed, she takes it surprisingly well.
Yeah. She's
which
just
is
like,
great.
okay, no need to panic. No need to
'Cause
panic.
in the
Like,
first scene-
you're 90.
I like in the first scene, she kind of freaks out at first, and then like literally in the next scene, she's like, "Oh, being old's not too bad."
Yeah.
Like, and then she's like stealing food from wherever she lives, and she's like, "Oh, I want to walk to Howl's Castle." Like,
Well, I mean, she didn't purposely walk.
I
She
know.
just,
It's
It
coincidental.
was like the
but-
hills of magic or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's like incredibly calm
Resilient
about
and
being
stuff.
turned into a fucking 90-year-old woman.
I'd lose my shit.
Yeah, no, same. I think like that speaks to like volumes about our character. Like unlike M Night Shyamalan, where dialogue has to be like my character is a policeman. What's your occupation?
Oh
we'll get into
my
that.
We'll
God.
get into that.
Yeah.
We'll get into that. But
Oh
in
my
this
God.
one, like actions or like subtle things like that reveal characters
Like a
very
good movie.
efficiently.
Interesting.
It's like
Yeah, show don't tell.
exactly, yeah, and it's very interesting. Like literally, I think like you can watch this movie. Oh my bad. Oh, that's on your feet. I just picked up somebody's pen. What's it called? Okay, so sorry for the interruption, guys.
I'll edit that out. It's
What's it
fine.
called? Basically, no, leave it in. It'd be funny. What's it called? It's
basically.
it's interesting. It's like you can watch this movie without any dialogue, and you still have a basic understanding of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's I think like really good visual storytelling. Unlike certain movies we'll get into, but
Well, the first time I watched it with subtitles because I couldn't find the dubbed version.
I watched the dub.
So.
I think it's actually honestly this is one of the only Studio Ghibli films where I think you can't go wrong with either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had seen this before and I watched the dub, but it was years ago. I didn't remember anything about it. So this time I wanted to get a feel for both. So at the midpoint, I just switched from subs to dubs.
Oh my god! Why would you do that?
It worked. It took like 5 minutes maybe to get adjusted, and like it was totally fine.
Christian Bale became a bird for this role.
Yeah, this is birth of his Batman voice in that one scene. When he's the bird, he's just like, "Stay away from me."
Yeah.
Pray to me.
So you watched the dub recently, or no, you haven't. You only watched the
No,
sub.
I watched the subbed and the dubbed, but the first one that first time I watched it subtitled, and I loved it. So I did go back and try to find the dub version just so I could watch it again a couple months later.
I think one of the reasons why the dub is so well, because I know it's John Lasseter, before he became all creepy and shit, and the Walt Disney Animation Studios that kind of work with the dub on the film, and they do extensively. They have a huge budget behind the dub for what it is, and they have them like do it over and over again until it matches. Like I still prefer Japanese because the animation was meant for the Japanese voice actors.
Yeah.
So the lips match more and just seems more natural.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's to be expected.
yeah. And then also Japanese voice actors are like, look, it's like they're not a beast. They don't get paid that much, but like that's like Japanese voice actors. They like live and breathe that shit every day. Like they they can make animal noises. They go from hentai to anime, and then like all the gambit. They're super talented when it comes
Christian
to their
Bale
voice
could do
industry.
that.
Christian Bale, I don't doubt that. I think he could.
he'd
He
do
could probably
some
speak
hentai.
Japanese too. If Tom Cruise could speak Japanese, I could speak
He
Japanese
actually
too.
turned himself into an octopus for this role.
So what's it called? So you've only watched the dub then, right?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
watching the dub.
What's it
I'm
called?
uncultured, I know. Crucify me.
Let's go. So what about you? Actually, let's go on to Blake. Do you prefer dub versus sub?
No, I normally prefer. I'll watch. I mean, for one, I don't watch anime, but I do watch foreign language films. I have no problem with subtitles. I don't know why in this specific case, like last night or 2 nights ago when I started the movie, I was like, I'm just gonna watch the dub so I can, because I was really tired too. I was like falling asleep, so I was like, I gotta watch the fucking dub. But it wasn't bad. It like worked.
Yeah. What
But
about
like you said, this is a kind of a rare occasion where the dub's fine.
Yeah, and also the characters are like European and stuff, so it kind of matches. Yeah.
And one of the things is the reason why I actually do like the dubbed version better is because unfortunately when you have subtitles you do have to read them, and it is such a beautiful movie that you just want to focus on like watching what's going on. You don't want to have to like look away from the action and the beautiful scenes in order to read what they're saying.
Yeah, and there's also a lot of visual storytelling going on. So if you could easily miss some of that if you're looking down. But yeah, I mean, I liked both. I thought both subbed or dubbed. Everyone was great. I specifically really liked Billy Crystal as Calcifer.
Yes,
I thought he was
Billy Crystal
awesome.
Yeah, he was
stands
good.
out.
But
Calcifer
yeah,
is the second best character in the thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what's called Witch of the Waste was like voiced by Lauren Bacall, like classic Hollywood.
yeah.
Super great. And then and Emily Mortimer voicing Sophie Hatter. Great actress. I like her too. There's a lot. Josh Hutcherson was Markle.
Yeah.
He was fucking Markle.
Before he hit puberty.
Yeah. It's good. It's good. Oh, fucking D. Bradley Baker, the guy who voices all the clones in Star Wars: The Clone Wars. He voices the dog Heen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. He's what's it called? So yeah, it's extensive voice cast. Okay, so what do you guys think of? Okay, so like she goes to Howl's Moving Castle, becomes a cleaning lady, and she just interacts with the crew and stuff. So what do
She
you guys
just kind of like butts in and is like, I'm the cleaning lady now.
Everyone's kind of just like, okay.
Yeah. But sorry, continue.
Oh yeah. No, I'm saying what do you guys like? What? Okay, so first interactions with that and stuff. Yeah, I think like what do you guys think of that? Like shows that character where she just comes in, she takes charge, and she's able to just essentially take over the house and rearranges in another way.
It's like Nanny McPhee.
Yeah.
I think that Howl needed that in his life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I think he realizes that for so long he's just been running away from everything, not really taking responsibility for anything and letting everything else kind of fall to pieces outside. And she's bringing him back and showing him, hey, responsibility is important. And that's one of the big drivers of his emotional development throughout the film.
Yeah. Let's get into that. So so eventually, the king, right, is trying to get every single witch and sorcerer and magician to battle for him, and a lot of them have, and they've basically turned themselves into hideous monsters. And we could get into the physical internal transformation of the character, but Sophie's character journey is basically self-worth, self-confidence, right? I mean, she has a lot of confidence in what she can do. She has the cojones to basically take charge, but in terms of her own personal self-evaluation is pretty low. And she doesn't feel like she could be loved, or she can love, or she doesn't feel like she's beautiful. But with Howl, it's the other journey where it's he has an obsession with beauty, and on top of that, he's a very cowardly character, right?
Yeah.
He runs away from conflict, and that kind of feeds into the beauty thing, where it's if you're the idea of if you're beautiful, you probably have less conflict in your life because you get to get away with more things. And he has also he has low self-confidence. And I think it's interesting to pair these type of characters up. It's very, very different in the book. I mean, in the book, Sophie's a ginger, and she has magical powers in the end, where she could speak things into she could basically, she calls to this pen and you're gonna have an asshole and then get fucked by another pen. It'll happen. Okay. Something like that.
There are a few moments in this movie where that does happen, though, where she says something and then it happens. Like when the plane's stuck in there and she's like, "You gotta move now," and then it fucking turns on and moves.
It's probably a nod to the story.
I think that was just good luck in the movie, though.
Well, I think it also stems down to with her voice being taken away, not literally, but her inability to say what's wrong with her. When she does say things, it gains more power because it's powerless being able to overcome that to become powerful.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's it's just, what's it called? And like I said, I like what's it called, and I do like that for these characters, very special cares attention to these type of things, and even visually, you see every time how what's it called, like I said, how what's called internally becomes a monster because he does monster things, and the war. And when we get into kind of pacifism, his anti-war film, just read heads up, this Miyazaki made this film after the United States invasion of Iraq in 2003, and he heavily opposed that. And all his hatred towards basically that conflict he made into this film. And he somehow, and the original book has no war, by the way.
Oh,
yeah, it has
interesting.
That has no war. It's Witch of the Waste is actually a much more devious, evil character. He takes a humanistic character.
I want to talk about her.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, definitely. Yeah. I think she's a fascinating character.
Because is it too early to get into her? Because
oh no, I think that's the thing we're gonna get into next.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking about emotional development, so
yeah. Oh, actually, let me get into the book thing real quick. In the movie, the main villain is Solomon, the king sorceress, the main sorceress, and she's trying to recruit Howl into fighting the war, and Howl's very opposed to it. He's a self-righteous individual, so probably Miyazaki himself. That's pretty much how Miyazaki sees himself, I think.
Who's his son?
Yeah, non-existent. So sorry, Miyazaki.
So this is his perfect world.
Oh, what's it called? But in the book, Witch of the Waste is the main character. She's a lot more devious. She's a lot more sexual in terms of she really wants to fuck Howl. I know this one too, but this one she wants his heart. But the other one she really wants to fuck Howl. She has this whole system. Sophie actually has two sisters in the thing, and they're actually magicians. And she has this intricate plot on how she manipulates the sisters and Sophie and all that stuff to basically fuck Howl.
Okay.
Yeah, but then Hal just knew this entire time, played it. And then he just oh, that's cool. And even in the book,
my apologies.
In the book, she doesn't go back and forth in her age based on emotions. In the book, she stays 90 until literally the last couple pages where Howl's just like, oh, I thought you just like being 90. And then they get a relationship.
Yeah,
Very
I thought
different.
that was strange in the movie, like how she was constantly switching back and forth. Because the way the spell was set up, I thought she was going to be 90 forever.
Yeah, me too.
But then there were certain moments where she would like switch back, and I wasn't sure why that happened.
Or she'd switch like halfway.
Maybe
Well,
I didn't get it, but I feel like it wasn't properly explained.
Well,
It was all kind
was
of.
it explained?
It was used
Yeah,
as a
kind of.
device a little bit to represent her emotions.
Yeah,
and
it's just like
the struggle
visually-
that she was going through.
Okay.
Yeah, visually
okay, that's
communicating
fair.
emotional
That's
struggle,
fair.
which I think is smart.
Yeah.
And also like the Witch of the Waste, she's good at giving curses, as she said, but she's not, really good at breaking them or explaining them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that might be my favorite scene in the movie, when they're going up the stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's hilarious when they're
I want to
explaining
get
and
into the
stuff.
witch.
Yeah.
This was my favorite aspect of the movie because the first like 25 minutes, I don't know. I think if you're if you've seen enough movies, you're just guessing and you're like, okay, so the witch is going to be the villain, the whole movie. And then when we're going up the stairs, I was like, oh, they're really going out of their way to like show how pathetic the villain is. It's like this great scene where the two of them have to walk upstairs, and it's kind of difficult for both of them because one, Sophie's now fucking 90, so it's like this impossible task, and she's carrying a dog.
Yeah.
And then the Witch of the Waste is, morbidly obese.
Yeah.
So she's like literally like like
She was sweating
Oh yeah.
so much.
It's
she was
great.
almost dying. But at this moment I was like, okay, so they're just going out of their way to like make fun of the villain. And then shit gets really real. Yeah, really dark when they strip the witch of like her power and they turn her into how old she actually is. And then from there, the witch is portrayed as more of a sympathetic character.
Yeah.
That was such a weird turn that I did not expect, that I really liked it.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
you expect her to be like evil bitch woman the whole movie, but you really kind of sympathize with her.
Yeah,
at
she
the
moves
halfway
in with
point.
them, and she's like hanging out.
Yeah,
She's got her own
smoking cigars.
bed. She's smoking cigars. She saved them from that like weird creature
Yeah.
thing. So yeah, like she has a great arc in this movie, I think.
Yeah.
So one of the things they're representing there is how magic can corrupt,
Yes,
and an
yes.
extension of that is power.
Yeah.
Back to the anti-war themes, and that's just showing that hey, when you take her magic away, it wasn't her that was innately evil. It was this magic, this power that she had
I
that
agree
kind
with
of pushed her to the edge, and that also helps represent the emotional struggle going through Howl throughout the entire film, where it's like, well, he's got these magical powers, but
And every time
they
he uses
always tend
magic-
to corrupt him. Yeah.
He turns into the bird, right? That, which is, I think, one great visual storytelling. Every time he uses magic, every time he corrupts, every time he uses power, his visually his body becomes corrupt, to becoming the bird.
Yeah.
Which I think, it's excellent. That's great storytelling. And yeah, the Witch of the Waste, that's a common trait in Miyazaki films usually, where like he tries to avoid having cartoonish villains or true villains in the show. Even in like Mononoke, remember the supposed villain, the anti-nature character.
Yeah.
Like, she's actually doing this to help feed and support like a clan of women, right? And she's trying to defend themselves and have this like there's no like he always tries to show like a humanistic side to every character, and which is great. Some movies like My Neighbor Totoro doesn't even have a villain. Yeah. And I think that's perfect. I think like it's
I think that's fine.
yeah.
You don't need to
Well,
villain for every
the
story.
villain in Totoro is death.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, like in terms of like a character villain. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's it called? And it's fantastic. I think if more people could take this approach, John Krasinski. I'm just kidding.
Oh my god.
You really hate that guy, don't
John,
you?
until you make a great film like this, then I'm not gonna accept you.
I think it would've been
What,
better
you
if
didn't
been
like
shown.
What
A
if
Quiet
John
Place
listened
Part
to
Two?
every one of our episodes
Yeah.
and he's just like seething?
I like John Krasinski just fine.
I like him
Philip.
too.
It's Philip that has the.
It's
Just-
fun making fun of
Can
him.
we get
though.
him on?
Just watch one of these days. John Krasinski's going to go on Twitter and be like, "These guys suck. They're horrible. I can't believe that they talk like this about me all the time."
Do
I
it,
hate you."
John.
Yeah,
do it.
Quiet Place sucks.
Bring it.
So
I'll-
Actually, you know what?
you have-
Every
you have
film
too much
before
of a
you made
beef with
about
Krasinski.
Quiet Place was basically bad. Okay, John. Like, yeah, go watch more films, learn fucking things. Don't think just because you're in the office you can make films. You know what I mean? You're not Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood worked with Sergio Leone and shit, and you learn from him.
Clint
I
Eastwood's
got-
all right as a director.
No, he's fantastic.
He's made
way
some
fucking,
bad
way
movies.
Okay, that's because he makes like 13 fucking movies a year, and of course he's
Isn't
gonna
he
be that
infamous for like, we got the shot, it's fine.
Yeah, he is.
The baby.
Because the main.
The
I think
baby.
John Huston was like that too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He just didn't give a shit. He didn't even like consider movies art. He's like, it's my job. Like,
I think Clint Eastwood. It depends. If he cares for the movie, it'll be good. If not, then no. I think Clint Eastwood. The whole thing is because he was so traumatized with Sergio Leone, and then like it gets all the takes, the long takes, and
He was just like, "Fuck it, we're gonna wrap this shit fast."
pretty much. He
Yeah,
wants to
that's
make
why
it efficient.
Sergio Leone's movies are better than his, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he made great films like Million Dollar Baby,
Yeah.
Bird, the Letters from Iwo Jima, but those were because he was passionate about it, right? And then, like I said, his good.
Dude, American Sniper is awful.
oh god,
I think American Sniper has some great scenes and some like the baby scenes.
the baby scenes. Yeah,
The baby scene's hilarious.
Oh my god!
I don't know how the fuck. Shoot another day. You have the budget for it. You can take one more day.
He hates babies. Did you hear that? That's the reason why he doesn't. He hates having babies on set.
okay.
Yeah, he's a cranky old
Yeah,
guy.
but make it look better than that.
No god. Okay, let's get back to this. Yeah. So the Witch of the Waste that happens, and then Howl goes to Sophie, and they escape together with one of the most adorable animated dogs ever, Heen. What's it called? I love the sound design. Go, like whenever he actually sounds like he's saying Heen. Like, but yeah, they escape. What's it called? They go away, and then they're back in the castle, and they basically make their escape attempts. And as they were saying, like they make very humanistic portrayal of which of the Waste was supposed villain. And you even see Sophie, like her age is fluctuating more as her character is. What's it called? Getting a little bit more self-worth, self-confidence. Her feelings for Hal are developing, and so for Hal, like I think Hal pretty much knows this too. And I love all that. And what's it called? And then let's kind of get into like the pacifism and the modernity versus like nature type of thing. It's like the anti-war sentiment is like super super prevalent. Like literally everything's peaceful, everything's beautiful, but as soon as anything resembling warfare comes in, then
It's ugly.
Yeah, the ugly. It's
Lifeless.
what's it called? Lifeless. Less like the flames are purposely not animated as much as the only animate like the flames that are animated as like a lot are like Calcifer.
Calcifer.
Yeah, like a
He looks
magical
great.
being. And then and it works well. It's like such a good communication with that. And then Sophie's a pacifist. Like she's always arguing to to not fight against them and to just what's it called? To just run away and then just try to resolve everything peacefully, which probably is also aspects of Miyazaki. Basically, it's like Miyazaki fucking himself. Miyazaki, the Howl guy, and Miyazaki, Sophie. Just,
It's like Loki.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and it's cool. And then things go haywire once Hal goes out for his last time to try to end the war himself, or just like try to disrupt it. And he's trying to protect them, right? Because he doesn't want the bombs to fall in the hat shop because it's connected. And so that's why they take Hal out of the castle and try to make their own mini castle. Oh, not in the Hal, Calcifer out of the castle. Billy Crystal does fantastic. I actually think Billy Crystal, it's hard. Maybe it does better than the Japanese guy. Oh, but the Japanese guy does fantastic. I
Yeah,
don't
he
really
was
know.
good as well.
So it's that's definitely called for character. But that goes awry because fucking Witch of the Waste is like, that's the heart? Oh yeah, baby! And it takes the heart and then gets burned alive. Like, what the fuck did you expect, bitch? But she's a senile woman, so I don't think it's a character flaw.
Yeah.
But it's like it's hilarious. When I watched it as a kid, I was like, I was like pointing, like I was like the asshole in the fucking theater. I was like, as a kid. But yeah, it was that was great. And then Sophie splashed water, Calcifer is damaged, and then we get into the whole backstory of Howl's backstory with Calcifer and how that even happened, the transaction of why Calcifer has Howl's heart. What do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about that sequence?
It was a little fast, but it worked. I do think it could have been a little longer. Maybe implemented a
So
little
you
bit.
mean Japanese people need to, like sacrifice more of their lives?
No, okay.
I'm just kidding.
I just think that
I'm just kidding.
it's a little fast. Don't you agree at all?
I agree with that.
Yeah, it's fine. It's not like bad. I just think that it could have been a longer scene and it could have been developed a little bit better. But it's fine. Like
Personally, I think that the pacing was probably perfect. I think that if it had been drawn out anymore, it would have gotten a little bit too overdone. And
I see
you
what
got
you
all
mean.
the information that you needed to get out of it. And it didn't seem like there was over exposition or anything like that.
I see.
No.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, he's probably just like probably also thinking of the health of his animators.
Yeah.
He's like, I want to make sure you guys could eat ramen today.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. In terms of pacing, I think this one, Mononoke, and like Spirited Away are probably his best paced films. I love The Wind Rises, but and not saying it's bad pacing. It fits the thing of the film, but that film is very slow paced. Yeah. So I kind of understand where Blake is coming from. I appreciate it in this film because I mean the title moving, isn't it? So I just assumed that it would be kind of like fast paced like that. But yeah, I understand what's called. I would be interested to see an actual like live action adaptation of the novel, but like more faithful and see like how that would compare. I would imagine that one probably.
Yeah, that'd be
closer to
interesting. I was thinking about. Sorry, I was thinking about that. Like, would this have worked as a live action film?
It would have been hard at the time.
Yeah.
if it had like
Well,
$200
yeah, at the
million.
time, but like right now, like with,
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure, like, maybe if they did like what Philip's saying, the book, I could be kind of interested in it. But I don't want like a fucking.
I'm waiting
I
for
don't-
Disney to make the gritty reboot.
So
If it's Disney, no.
one thing that Hollywood does not do well is representing nature, and I think that the way that they were able to represent nature throughout this film and its beauty just comes through in the animation so much better than anything that Hollywood could put out. So I don't think that it would work as a live action
M
film
Night
necessarily.
Shyamalan portrayed nature great.
I think
in
it could
Gold.
work. I think it would be really hard, but I'm totally fine with this version. If they never
Yeah,
make
it's
a
fine.
live action Howl's Moving Castle, I'm
It's
not
nothing
really
yeah.
gonna care.
It's nothing
No.
I give a fuck about.
No, I think what's it called. It's like I think the book works as it is in the animation film, and also if you make it, you would just compare it. Like, look, this is like extremely beloved amongst, like this is the animation community. Like some people consider
People
this their
fucking
favorite.
love this movie.
Yes, some people consider this their favorite Studio Ghibli. I understand why. It's the one that I've watched the most. It's not my personal favorite Studio Ghibli film, but
It's mine.
Oh, it's
I guess it's by default, man. I don't remember anything
yeah.
about Kiki's delivery service.
it's great, and it works. I think because I think this is a great adaptation because it's basically them getting the book and he's putting his own spin on it and he's putting his own thing. He takes only the things that he wants and makes it into what he is, and he does a lot better.
Oh, so you're
than-
saying he adapted something well, unlike
oh,
some people.
Oh, and
I'm
Save it, Blake. Save
oh
it.
yeah, we're gonna get
I'm
into that.
bursting
We'll
at
have
the
enough time.
seams to
I
talk
know.
about old.
I'm
Like,
so
Yeah.
excited to talk about old.
Okay,
Oh yeah,
well, let's get into the wrap-up then.
Let's kind of wrap
Yeah.
up. Okay,
Let's
last
wrap
thing,
this
we found out the turnip head. After Sophie kisses
was the
him,
prince.
it was the prince that was missing. And by the way, super awesome, like saving them, you
Yeah.
know, to guiding her. He's like the one guy that does everything for her, but unrequited love. And I love his perseverance at the end. He's like, oh, as I know, hearts change. So he's like, I'm gonna go end the war and then come back and try to win Sophie.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck yeah, man.
Yeah,
I
dude.
mean, it's creepy, but fuck yeah.
I love how he was never like allowed inside the castle, but he's just like hopping along with it the whole movie. He's there, like he just
Yeah.
shows up
He's-
when Sophie needs him, and it's heartwarming.
I think it's the
Yeah,
best.
he's the best character in the whole movie.
He's the best pussy whipped turnip I've ever seen. It's just, I
How
think
many
it's.
pussy whipped turnips do you know?
I know it's like 3. I'm just kidding. It's he was great.
Ooh.
And okay, so let's and it ends with Sophie and Howl beginning their romantic relationship, and this time it's now no longer Calcifer. Oh yeah, by the way, both curses are freed because Sophie, her hair is white, kind of showing like her maturity and
Just like
visual
Rogue.
aging and stuff. Yes, like Rogue.
I thought about that last.
And by the way, this film also does really good with old age and stuff. Like it's like like it's like that's the thing. He has a lot of affection towards old people. Like I'm like fucking Night Shyamalan. Makes old people
Shyamalan's
seem
terrified of old people. This is the
Yeah,
second movie about him being terrified of old people.
exactly. But this one, like he thinks like old people are like he has a lot of compassion towards them, right? That they can still have to do a lot of things. They're really capable, and that's probably due to the Japanese culture where they have a growing a senior population. Mainly because of like maybe healthcare and stuff like that, and they're usually unattended for, and he probably has sympathetic, probably also because he's old too, and then also like a lot of compassion towards them, right? They could, he still mentions that they basically argues that they can still be beautiful in their own way, right? But yeah, so Sophie's curse is broken. Howl's heart is returned to him from Calcifer, and Calcifer's curse is broken too.
He's free.
Yeah,
Good
but
for him.
like Genie, but better.
And he
I'm just
chooses
kidding.
to hang out with them.
Yeah, and makes
Yeah.
a flying castle. Fuck yeah, a sequel. I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. I don't want a sequel.
How's flying castle?
This time, it's personal.
So
There was a movie called Castle in the Sky.
that one is fantastic. That's
yeah.
I
Elysium?
when we get into that,
That's
like,
a
that's
Ghibli
like, I
film
think
as well, right?
Yeah.
I think the Castle in the
Elysium?
Sky is shut the fuck up. Castle in the Sky is the most underrated. I think one of that Porco Rosso and like
Can we
Lupin.
talk about Elysium?
Yeah, I could agree.
Magic healthcare machine.
Oh yeah, when that guy's coming out with a video
District
game.
10.
Yeah, and District 10.
Yeah.
District
Yeah.
10. He has 2 movies coming out. And he said those 2 might be his last film ever.
Oh, really?
And he might just transition to video games. So he says that like he's just like I guess his experiences making the other films he made were so terrible and like the studio interference and whatever, right? And he had more fun making his weird CGI shorts for O Studios. He's just like, nah, just make video games.
Okay.
We'll
You're
see.
talking about Neil Blomkamp?
Yeah.
Blomkamp?
Yeah, pretty much. We'll see if he does.
Elysium could have been good.
Yeah.
They fucked that movie up.
See, I don't even know if that's his fault. Like, I'm so curious. Like 10 years down the line, where he's not contracted, and he just gives like a whole like, like his whole expose on what happened.
How
in
come?
production.
Yeah.
So weird comment about. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to derail the conversation into Elysium, but
It's okay,
how
you
come-
already did.
How come Matt Damon's playing like a Hispanic character in that?
Yes.
Is that the studio being like?
We need Matt Damon.
We need Matt Damon
I probably think so. Yeah.
because he's very clearly playing like what's supposed to be a Hispanic character. I don't know. Elysium sucks.
And then I don't think it sucks. It has enough, I think, visual style.
It's one of those things that you're just like, oh, this could have been great, but
Yeah, I was really excited. The trailer
me
was
too.
great. I fucking love District 9.
Yeah, District 9's
for a
awesome.
while, like after I saw District 9, I'm like, this guy could be the next fucking thing, you know?
yeah, he could have been.
And then Elysium, and I liked Chappie.
I
I
never
know a
saw
lot of
Chappie.
people don't like it.
Yeah, no,
but
I
thought it was fun.
I think Chappie's
I never saw
underrated. I think
Chappie.
Chappie. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Like narrative wise, it's pretty fucking whack.
Yeah.
But it's like I enjoy the film in terms
I
of
like
like
the characters.
Yeah, I like the character. It's the rappers, but like I the characters are pretty dope. And the visual effects is fantastic on that film. That's
Yeah,
the one thing he does
yeah.
really well. Visual effects.
Oh,
And making
absolutely.
it lived in and breathed in because he has like background in that.
How did we get onto this?
Oh yeah, okay. Because we're talking about
sorry.
animation.
Yeah.
He's also I've also heard he's a studio. Almost everybody in fucking Hollywood is a Miyazaki fan.
Well,
Okay.
I mean, Miyazaki's a legend in Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're talking about he's probably the king of Japanese animation, I would say.
I think so. Or I think he's I guess I wouldn't say any more now because he's like basically retired. But
Well,
except for that one last film.
At one
Well,
point,
I
he
mean,
was.
that can last for years and years and years.
Yeah.
Even after downfall. I mean, look at how many people are doing animation in Japan and all over the world and have been completely inspired growing up
by
with
Miyazaki.
Miyazaki's films.
Yeah, and even just like American animation, like Luca, which is like a bad version of Studio Ghibli stuff from Pixar. They were specifically mentioned that Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli were a big influence.
Okay.
They probably should have seen his films at least one more time to make the film.
Miyazaki's Toy Story.
Oh my god, I would love to see that.
Yeah,
shit.
actually,
like,
that would make a
Totoro's on
yeah.
Toy Story 3.
What?
Totoro.
Really?
Totoro, right?
Ah.
Yeah, he's in Toy Story 3 as one of those. He's actually in 4 too, actually.
Is he like an actual character, or is it just like in the background?
Well, I mean, Totoro never speaks in the
okay.
film too, so
Oh,
like,
well,
that's
yeah,
almost
I haven't seen it,
consistent. Yeah. Okay. So final ratings, you guys.
This one, like all other Studio Ghibli, well, not all other Studio Ghibli films, but at least Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle. What else? Those two are definitely go in the museum, but everything from Studio Ghibli goes on the shelf for me. So, but
Yeah.
this movie definitely goes in the museum.
I stream it. That's kind of my
Okay,
rating.
so Blake recently died of some type of pulmonary heart disease.
I like it. I don't
and then-
love it. I think it's fine. It's like a cute movie. It's really well done and it's fun to watch. But I'm just not an anime guy, as you would say. I'm just not huge on anime, so I don't know. I mean,
He also has some type of ocular disease where he's unable to see
Yeah.
anything pretty.
I will say though, I like good anime a lot, and I'm not saying this is not good anime. I'm digging myself into it.
If it
Yeah,
was,
yeah.
if it was,
You
you
just
wouldn't even know because you watched it
I
on your
like
goddamn
Rurouni
phone.
Kenshin slaps, dude.
Oh wow, you said it right that time,
Yeah.
bro. I was like,
did?
yeah, she said
Wow.
it right. Yeah.
Congratulations,
Hey,
Blake.
I liked Rurouni Kenshin a lot.
Bro, okay, now he said it wrong.
Yeah. No.
I'd
But-
stream it. That's a good rating for me.
You would stream it on your phone.
I watched the last 10 minutes on my phone because I had to.
All
Okay.
right, what about you, Jason?
I'm torn. I'm torn on this one because
being torn apart.
I don't like animation very much, but I appreciate everything about this movie. I don't know, fuck it, on the shelf. Like, I feel like it needs to be there strictly because of how beautiful it is and how much attention to detail there is and all of the voice work that went into this, both the subbed and dubbed versions. So yeah, I'll put it on the shelf, fuck it. Even though I didn't enjoy it as much as I would another movie, but I'm trying to be objective here.
Jean-Philippe, are you putting it in the museum?
I'm debating because this is not my favorite Studio Ghibli film. I'm going back and forth, but then like his technical merits are preserved in the museum. Personal feelings on the shelf. Oh, but honestly, I do think this film is so influential actually just everything Miyazaki does is so influential that I think it's like, yeah, no, pretty much almost everything he did. I'll buy some films. His first one, Lupin the 3, is preserved in a museum for me. So preserved in a museum.
Yeah, for me, I think that just in general, Miyazaki could have a whole exhibit in the museum.
Yeah,
you know,
would.
it's
Yeah,
he's one of those directors. He's that influential within the scope of cinema.
Oh, I agree
and
with
especially you know, Japanese cinema.
What Miyazaki films are you guys gonna watch next for Blake and Jason?
If
Oh no, don't worry. There's one coming out when Avatar comes out. We're pairing it with Princess Mononoke.
if
Okay.
and that's a big if. What's that from? Oh, that's Inglourious Bastards, right? If, and that's a big if.
Yeah.
I'd watch Spirited Away just because that's like whenever I
Yeah,
tell people
that's-
I have not watched Spirited Away, they scream at me. So
Because it's like you going to Diamond High School, like almost every teacher screens that there for like downtime.
maybe I missed that.
Yeah, I never
Yeah,
had
It's
You guys
just
never
such
had
a
a teacher?
beautiful
I-
film.
I had a
And
teacher
also-
senior year who showed us fucking Tyler Perry movies all year.
Who?
It was her last year teaching, and she did not give a fuck.
maybe we shouldn't. say
Yeah,
it
I'll
here.
tell you after.
Okay.
But yeah, that was.
In one class, we watched a movie called Double Jeopardy. You remember that movie? It's terrible.
gosh.
I don't
watched
know why
Par-
we watched that.
We watched Paranormal Activity in one of my high school classes.
These are just the days where the teacher walks in and is like, fuck it.
Yeah, I don't care today.
Not only that, it was a pirated copy.
Oh,
Like, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. And then what middle school did you go to, Blake?
Chaparral.
Yeah, what are you talking about? You went to Chaparral, full of Asians and full of like teachers who hoard that film around, and
watched
Diamond
Howl.
Bar, and what's it called? You know Mr. Russell?
Yeah.
He fucking showed that movie.
Oh, maybe I don't know. Maybe I watched it and just wasn't paying attention, dude. I was a terrible student.
Oh
We watched Saldo.
gosh. You mean the 120 Days?
Yeah.
of Sodom? Which teacher?
No, I'm just kidding.
I wouldn't be
We watched it
surprised
in
if
elementary school.
I watched
Mr.
Schindler's List in high school.
Yeah, everybody watched
Mr. Russell, like behind the scenes, like he showed me.
Mr. Russell was bald, right?
Yeah, the
Kinda
bald
short,
guy. Yeah,
kinda
yeah.
short. Yeah.
No, not that short. He's
Beard.
he has a beard.
Yeah,
though,
I remember
short.
him, but like very vaguely. Remember Mr. Miller?
Yeah,
He was in the film industry.
Okay,
He worked
can-
on a lot of animation.
Oh, okay. So yeah, let's wrap this up. What's it called? We enjoy it. Watch more Miyazaki stuff. We're excited for his next film. I think How Do I Live Now? It's BCGI. Whenever I might already have like kids and married at that point when that film comes out. Well, yeah. All right. So our next film, as we speak to about adaptations, is Old. But before we get to that,
We're gonna take a break.
Quick break.
And we're back! And we're talking about... Can I get a drum roll, please? M. Night Shyamalan's Old. So, the premise to Old, and we should mention it is loosely adapted from a graphic novel called Sandcastle. The premise of Old is two families, or I guess three, kind of, go to a beach. They go to a summer resort for a fun family vacation, all for various reasons. And they all end up on a private beach recommended by the owner of the resort to have some fun family time. However, things are shaken up once they realize that they are rapidly aging and time is moving very, very fastly. So, everyone, how did we all like Old? Philip?
I loved it. Film of the year.
I see.
Better than Pig?
I think Alex Wolff did a much better job in this movie.
Oh my
with
God.
Everyone.
I'm being completely
Can you
sarcastic
point out
right
M. Night
here.
Shyamalan did a John Krasinski? Did you guys have the M. Night Shyamalan talk to you before the movie started?
Oh yeah.
Oh no, not
yeah.
mine. No.
Oh, really? It opened up with like M. Night Shyamalan standing and being like, "I'm M. Night Shyamalan. I've been making movies for 20 years. They're all great. Thank you."
Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't have that.
By the way, I'm sorry.
That's a lie.
When the old trailer came out from the director of Sixth Sense, that was 20 years ago. M. Night, you got to put some recent work in there.
From
did
the
he put
director
he
of
put Split,
Avatar:
right?
The Last Day.
Wasn't there a Split too on the trailer?
Yeah, I'm sure, but still, it's been a while for you to be putting.
Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
My God.
I guess we should get into M. Night Shyamalan just a bit before we talk about Old.
Yeah.
What is everyone's experience with Mr. Shyamalan?
That's good. I've seen pretty much all his films. I haven't seen his original film, but it's about like basically like he stars in it as a main character. By the way, he loves casting himself in the film.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's like I think low-key always wanted to be an actor.
He gives himself a super important part in Signs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
In this movie.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
doesn't it? I haven't seen Lady in the Water, but doesn't
He's in there, too.
Doesn't he play
Chosen one.
God?
He plays like
Like-
the chosen one.
He's in there too. Yeah. He's I haven't seen Praying with Anger, which is about him just coping with mix between Western culture and Eastern culture or Indian culture. I've heard that's a really interesting personal film. I haven't seen the one he did after that, before Sixth Sense, which was like some type of comedy.
Didn't he write Stuart Little?
He wrote Stuart
Yeah,
Little.
he wrote
I
Stuart
wanted you to
Little.
know that.
Yes.
Take the rat.
But everything else, yeah. I mean, I have to like go into. One day I want to go a deep dive into. I don't know if on Lady in the Water and Happening, because it's like definitely.
I think we should definitely do an M Night Shyamalan deep dive. We debated about doing it today, but that's a lot.
It's a lot.
But it
And
is
also
fun.
one of our guy who's a M Night Shyamalan super fan, Ron. He's not
Yeah, he
here.
loves him. He loved Old.
Yeah, he loved all.
What's it called? I'll just give you up front. He's so conflicted about Old. He hates it. He hates it. But then
Damn it, I was actually, because he said there was a couple things he liked, and I wish he was here because I want to know what those were.
Yeah, yeah.
Assuming you know.
Yeah, it's because like our opinions are pretty similar on this one. It's like Old, it has the biggest disparity between M Night Shyamalan visual director and M Night Shyamalan screenwriter, and I think that's like he's basically like Kevin Wendell Crumb in this film. They're split personalities. There's one where like in terms of like if you just think about just basic film school shit, framing, rule of thirds, foreground, background, takes, audio consistency, all that shit. That's like almost 10 out of 10, really good.
There's a
But
couple shots I did.
Sometimes
really
it got frustrating to me at certain points, which I'll get into.
yeah.
The
Yeah,
way,
yeah.
the
I
way
think I
certain
know-
things
I
are
think I know what you're gonna
shot.
talk about.
yeah,
I didn't enjoy how it was shot. I think that
really,
the
really,
problem I had was that there was so many opportunities for them to be taking big wide angle shots where it was just too close up. And I
what do you mean?
think
They did do several big wide angle shots.
but
Several.
There were a lot of close-ups in the movie.
Yeah.
there were too many close-ups, and I think that it felt like the entire movie just felt like, even when it was zoomed out, it was just for a brief amount of time, and it just felt like the entire movie was zoomed in on people's faces and just them trying to express emotion through their faces. And I gotta say, the emotion didn't come through
I will
throughout almost
say
the whole film.
there are a couple moments where he does things that are really interesting to me, and I liked the stylistic choice of it. I just wish it were in a good movie. Like specifically the scene where they're playing like freeze tag. That shot so weirdly, but I kind of liked it. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
worked.
I liked the follow-up shots of that as well.
that-
Like they're frozen, and then they show like action figures frozen as well, and then they show the parents frozen, sitting, not doing anything. I like that. That was one of the few things I'm like, okay, there's something going on here.
Also, there's some weirdly framed shots too, like where isn't there like a shot where like only someone's like forehead is like in focus, but it's like
Well, I mean, he does that
it's
on purpose. Yeah.
No, I know
okay.
it's not a mistake, but I'm saying that's an interesting shot, but I still liked it.
No, I think okay. Okay, Miles. I kind of see where you're going with it. Honestly, from when it comes to traditional thriller films, this is probably more closest than average. But I think what's it called? No, I think at least for me, I think the shot variety there was enough there, and the close-ups I think kind of works for what, like I said, if the dialogue was better, I think it would have worked better.
Yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
I think that was my biggest issue with them too, is that the dialogue was uninteresting. So
Not even just uninteresting.
more than uninteresting.
It's didactic,
Bad.
robotic, and unhuman.
It felt like a Yorgos Lanthimos like performance,
But without Yorgos
but without
Lanthimos.
the intent. Like
Yeah.
Yorgos Lanthimos makes his actors act like robots on purpose. Like that's his whole style. This is like he mistakenly did that.
also,
It felt like The Happening.
he does not know how to write dialogue for children.
Dude,
This is
Like,
like,
wait, wait.
dialogue for anyone.
Wait, he doesn't know how to write that. No, that's wrong. Because he doesn't know how to write dialogue for children and adults.
Well, and
Anybody,
adults. But no, like, it was really bad and really noticeable with the kids.
Yeah,
Like,
What is your name and occupation?
Yeah.
Like,
okay, you know what I hated was I was like, that's cringeworthy and a kid won't talk about that. But if they want to give that kid a quirk, fine. Until you realize the only fucking reason he does that is to do the most forced setup of all time. Where he's like, "What's your name and occupation? I'm a cop." And then later in the movie,
yeah, you're a cop.
No, and also because M. Night Shyamalan had no idea how to do visual storytelling of like, oh yeah, this guy's a doctor. This guy has, or this lady has epilepsy. This person is this person is that.
Yeah.
So
Oh
they
my
just use
God.
this kid for exposition to explain everything
No,
by
I-
asking
When the
questions.
woman's having a seizure,
Yeah.
when she's having a seizure, like, she's sitting there having a seizure.
I'm a
and then-
nurse.
yeah, he's like, my name's Jaren. I'm a nurse. She's epileptic. Like,
and
what?
then he's like, I'm a doctor.
yeah.
this
And
movie
then the
explains
supermodel wife's like,
everything
I'm a
to you.
bitch.
Yeah, I'll say this. Yeah, it does oversaturation.
Did you know the knife was rusty though? Did you catch on to that?
I disagree with he can't do visual storytelling. At least just from Sixth Sense, Unbreakable.
He can't write it.
No, he just can't. He just can't write
Well, the
it.
thing
But I
is,
think
he
it's like,
is doing visual storytelling. He just feels compelled to fucking tell
Explain
you
everything.
Yes.
what's going on, and it's just like we don't need that. We're not.
Oh my god! Can I talk
It's like
about?
he thinks I'm an idiot,
Can I
which
talk
I am to
about-
a certain
Can
extent.
I talk about the
but-
most frustrating fucking part for me? So obviously this is an adaptation, and I'll get to that later. But this movie takes a scene directly from it, where it's the end of the graphic novel, but it's not the end of the movie. But it's like one of the few scenes I actually started to like in the movie. It's where like everything's gone to shit. Like spoilers, by the way, obviously. Everything's gone to shit. Everyone's dead but the two siblings, and they're like, "Should we keep trying to get out?" Yeah. Want to build a sandcastle first?
Yeah.
And at first I was like, okay. Like, this, because, at the end of the book, the point is that despite all these decisions that have had to be made, these are literally fucking kids in an adult body. And it's a great way to end the book. In this, I'm like, okay, this is good. And then the fucking the kid that's now an adult has to say to the camera, "I wonder if other adults feel like children or just us." And I'm like, shut up! You fucking ruined your one good scene. I'm sorry, this bothered
Yes.
me. I literally turned to Ricardo and was like, fucked up their only good scene.
I
agree.
will say, when I saw that scene and they were like, "Let's build a sandcastle," I was like,
Great.
holy shit, this is the perfect way to end this film.
Yeah.
I thought that they
that
actually
is how
did
the
something
graphic
good.
novel ends.
But then I remembered, oh wait, M Night Shyamalan hasn't shown his face yet.
for a second,
No, he was in it.
yeah.
no, but he hasn't shown his face again.
Yeah.
I thought for a second in my head, I was like, okay, M Night, just keep the ending. We
Yeah.
don't need.
Oh, no,
'cause the whole
I doubt
movie,
it.
I was like, what's he gonna add? What's the dumb? Because
There's always got to be a fucking twist.
When are we
And
gonna
this
get-
wasn't even a twist. It was just like an extension of the story.
We knew it the whole time. Like
Oh.
you knew what
The
was
best
going
part
on.
of the graphic novel is the fact that you don't know shit.
I like
and
how
they're just
and it
there.
works.
in the graphic novel, they're like fucking arguing about what it could be, and like one of the characters is like a sci-fi writer. It's like, I don't fucking know, man.
No, I know. It's like in the graphic novel
It doesn't matter.
Sandcastle.
It doesn't matter why it's happening to them in the graphic
It's just
novel.
happening.
It's
Yeah.
just like it's essentially like a magic realism tale, right? It has a dreamlike narrative, and
I
it's just
have-
like, and it's just exploration of themes.
Okay, are we gonna get into the adaptation part yet? Because I have an extreme criticism, and it's gonna take a minute to explain, but I have to talk
Oh,
about it.
before that, let's kind of just get into.
Let's finish the synopsis, then we'll
yeah,
get into the
let's get into
adaptation.
a brief synopsis. So basically, yes, this family. Let's get into. But characters. The characters' names are terrible. Okay, by wasted cast. I mean, they have.
Wasted.
Yeah, they have
a great
Gail
cast.
Garcia Bernal from what's it called, Alfonso Cuarón films such as Y Tu Mamá También.
Dude, that movie's great.
Y Tu Mamá También is amazing sex scene too.
Yeah.
Vicky Creeps or Creps from Phantom Thread. Anyone seen Phantom
Yeah,
Thread?
it's a great movie.
It's fantastic. She was great. Rufus Sewell was in The Father and also like in Man in High Castle. Ken Leung from Lost and
Yeah, I was gonna
other
say,
film.
Miles from Lost made an appearance.
And he's great.
He
And
was a Ghostbuster in Lost.
I gotta rewatch that.
Yeah.
And then we
Stop
have
talking about Lost, Blake.
and then we have Thomas and Mackenzie and Alex Wolff. But I say Thomas and Mackenzie.
I think she gave the best performance in the movie.
I-
I was able to buy her being a child in an adult's body better than anyone else. Like Alex
I
Wolff
agree with
really
that.
at work
So-
with me.
No.
I agree, but then I also will say Lexus Swinton, who played 11-year-old Maddox, I think that she did a great job portraying emotion, especially
Yeah.
in the scenes early on. Well, she was only in the movie early on, where she was kind of comforting her brother, and the sibling relationship I think came through very well. The writing was poor, but I could feel the emotion early on in that. I will say though, the parents, I didn't like what they did with them, but we'll get into that in a few
Oh yeah,
minutes.
I don't blame any of the actors by any chance. They're
No.
what's it called. You even had Abby Lee from Neon Demon. She
Yeah.
was there too. And then look, it's like look, everybody there is great.
My
is great.
calcium.
Oh my god!
And then oh my god, it was weird. By the way, I'm not gonna lie, it was weird to see Thomas Mackenzie from Jojo Rabbit, who was there. She was like a small child, undeveloped, and in this film, she's rather developed, and I'm like, it's awkward as fuck.
Yeah.
It was, and it worked. I think it's actually pretty good casting because
Yeah.
like in terms of that, like it made me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
like looking at her and
Oh
stuff.
my god, man!
But yeah, she was I thought she gave the best performance in the movie. Alex Wolff would like change. I don't know. Totally, his character was just weird to me.
It shifted constantly with Alex Well's character.
No, I don't blame him. No one blames his fault. But like at one point he's just like, I'm a kid, yeah, and then he's just like yelling, like I don't know.
No! Oh my god! I don't know if I like this scene because it was bad or because it was funny, but the whole scene, I'm gonna marry her and we're never gonna fight ever, and we're gonna stay together. And it's like
it was so cringe.
I'm like, bro, you're 6.
Yeah.
And then Aaron Pierre, who was in Barry Jenkins' Amazon limited series, you guys should watch the Underground Railroad. He's a British guy. He did a good job making me feel like he's not a British guy.
Yeah.
But dude, he's super wasted in this.
Yeah.
The guy played Mid-Sized Sedan.
Mid-sized sedan.
Yeah,
that's his name.
I prefer to refer to him as a subcompact SUV.
Okay,
I think that's a better name.
It's ridiculous. Okay, so let's just go into plot. There's not really much plot. They get into the beach. What's it called? They start dying one by one because of their medical conditions being exponentially expedited because of the magnetic rocks. But what we are gonna get into is a fucking plot twist. Okay, so first, plot twist or explanations.
I think we should acknowledge the adaptation at this point.
Let's go. Okay,
because this is a huge part.
Or do you want to go into the adaptation later?
Because I think that this is a huge part of the twist too.
Okay.
So in the fucking, I have a huge point to make.
Okay.
But if we're gonna talk about it being an adaptation, I have to make it.
Okay, yeah. Let's go into adaptation then.
Okay. So in the adaptation, there is no resort. There is no crazy like medical shit going on.
Yeah,
it just ends. Here's where my problem is. Now, when it comes to adapting source material, I am 100% fine with you just having fun with it and doing something completely different. Like if, for example, you wanted to make a Star Wars movie that's like a horror movie that doesn't feel like Star Wars, but it still takes place in that universe that has Star Wars-y elements, I think that's fine. At the other end, if you adapt a book and you want to make a shot-for-shot remake, I think that's also fine. The problem with this adaptation is it keeps just enough in some of the same story beats to feel kind of similar, but changes enough to make it have a different point. Like the themes in these two properties are completely different, which would be fine if he just said, okay, beach aging families. That would be fine. But there are points of this that actually do kind of feel like a shot-for-shot remake. But it goes in the completely different direction. So the fucking entire theme of the book, in my opinion, was accepting death, but also just accepting that bad things happen and you can't control them. And you shouldn't waste your entire life trying to stop bad things from happening to you.
That's a pretty good interpretation.
The point of the movie is like this pseudo like analogy for like pharmaceutical shit. Like, so that's what I'm saying. I feel like if you want to do that, I think that's fine. And I actually kind of like the concept of they're testing like weird, crazy drugs. That's a wild premise, and I think it could have been done right. But if you're going to do that, do your own fucking thing, buy the rights, do it slightly like that, but make it your own thing. Don't still try to adapt half of it. It just ends up feeling wonky, weird, and disconnected.
Also, this goes out to anybody with a good story. Don't sell your rights to M Night Shyamalan because he can't be trusted.
Unless you're broke and you need money.
Even then,
sell your worst story to him.
Should I sell the artifacts to M Night Shyamalan?
No.
No.
It's God.
Do you guys agree with that point?
No, I agree with that. That's a pretty good interpretation of like the themes of thing, and I think like the graphic novel does it well.
But especially my point though that it feels so weird that he would make some parts a shot-for-shot remake while fundamentally changing the point and the theme of the story.
Yeah,
that feels like you're breaking a law.
He doesn't really even care about the graphic novel that much. He tried to option for the rights. Like I haven't read somewhere. He optioned for the rights just after paying the premise. That's all he cares about.
That's how he always options for the rights.
Yeah, and then he read the graphic novel while writing the thing. He's like, "Oh, that's cool," and he just like cherry picks ideas, which doesn't work. To be honest,
no, he didn't read the graphic novel. His dog chewed up the graphic novel, and he got a few frames that were left over, and it's like, shit. Well, let's make something out of this.
Like Avatar: The Last Bender.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's.
I don't even think I like the graphic novel just fine. I mean, I don't love it, but it's good. I don't really think it's adaptable into a movie, to be honest.
No.
I think it's perfect as its own medium. If it had to be adapted, it would be a good like horror anthology thing.
Yeah,
it could be like an hour long and get it over.
Yeah, it could be like a Twilight Zone.
Yeah, it could be like a Twilight Zone
episode. Yeah.
I think that somebody else could have done this better. I don't know who.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who that would be, but I think that
John Krasinski.
The premise
Oh
is
my
really.
gosh.
I mean, if
It'd
you
all be one shot.
yeah, if you look at the premise and you look at some of the shots and some of the ways things were done, it could have been a really, really good movie. But I think that one of the biggest flaws in it was the writing, for one.
The directing of the actors, fucking.
Yeah.
How does he do it?
I don't know how everyone gave a bad performance. They talk like they're robots, and it's not on purpose, and it's frustrating.
Like I feel so bad for like Alex Wolff especially because I
He'll
just
be
saw him
fine.
in Pig.
Hey,
no,
he'll be
no,
fine.
no, no.
Pig
but-
just came out.
But I just saw him in Pig, and he gave such an amazing dynamic performance.
Alex
and then
Wolff
I see
always
him
gives
in
a good
this,
performance.
and I'm like, oh, come on, really? Like, because I know that he has that range, and I know that he's being held back by M Night Shyamalan.
Everyone is.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
it's so strange to me because there are movies where M Night Shyamalan pulls good performances.
yeah,
out of
like
people.
Sixth Sense,
In
Unbreakable.
Split.
But did he write them?
Signs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He wrote-
Signs.
he wrote
Say what you will
all
about
those.
Signs, but it is a really well acted movie.
Yes.
I like Signs.
I actually don't think Signs. Like I know the big plot hole with the like
The
not
water,
the water
whatever,
thing.
well, you
dude.
can
I
look
think-
at that as a
I don't even think it's a-
allegory.
Yeah, I actually don't really even think that's a plot hole because
I like Signs. I don't
yeah, because they established like I'm just saying this for people who hate Signs. They actually established that the aliens were desperate
Demons.
and demons.
That's like an allegorical theory.
yeah, but they basically they were just they were desperate. Like they were desperate. They were just trying to find what's it called, whatever planet they could do, and they were scattered throughout the entire place. So they didn't necessarily have time to research or whatever the planet.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm sure they could see it as they're landing. I don't care. Like, if they're desperate, they're like, "There's land here. We can make this work.
Yeah.
We'll go there." And also, whatever. That's not the point of the fucking movie.
Yeah,
the point of
it's
the
a-
movie is
A guy
It's
losing
faith-based
his
film.
faith.
yeah. So anyway, great performances in Signs, great performances
Sixth
in
Sense.
Sixth Sense, and Split. Oh my God, James McAvoy fucking killed it.
Even in Glass, which I don't really particularly like, I think a lot of the performances were pretty good. Except
Yes.
for Bruce Willis was kind of okay.
Yeah, he was.
There's
funny
that
in it.
part where Bruce Willis is like, he's like cellmate, or he's not cellmates, but he's got like a cell right next to Samuel Jackson. Samuel Jackson's doing a really good job, and Bruce Willis is like, "Hey man, do you think like maybe they're right and we don't have powers?" I don't know. It just feels so half-assed.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
agree.
he can get good performances.
And then he does this in The Happening, and it's just like, why? How do you fuck this up so badly?
That's because he's writing it. This is like because the only reason why Split I think it was good is because
He wrote it.
He wrote more probably like a good chunk of it when he was in Unbreakable mode. When
Yeah,
he was
okay.
like when he was peak Shyamalan mode. Like Shyamalan from even The Village was not as bad as I think it was, but basically from Sixth Sense to Signs, it's kind of like within that period that was like the peak Shyamalan.
Yeah.
And then that's where good peak Shyamalan shit is. And Split was that. And that's why people were like, oh, he's back. But he's not really back.
Man, I used to defend M. Night Shyamalan. I remember being in high school, and I was like, no, he's going to make a comeback. You'll see. And then
And he did.
Kind of.
And then he
fucked it up.
No,
Yeah,
we're surprisingly this film is like, I think like 59% on Rotten Tomatoes and stuff like that. So it's actually like
I checked yesterday, and
Is
it
it
was
55?
It was
54?
at 53 for
Audience
critics and audience.
yeah,
Both.
really?
that's
We're
but
at
that's good
53.
considering M Night Shyamalan. Consider After Earth was like
Oh, After
Yeah.
Earth! I forgot about that.
Is that
fucking
even like,
movie?
really count? Like, I feel like
I think
that
he wrote
one,
that one too, didn't he?
Did
We had to
he,
double
did he
check.
give a shit about After Earth, though? I feel like his other movies
I
feel
think-
like they have more...
He gives a shit about every film he does. Yeah.
So, I do want to mention one thing. So, who here has seen that Amazon Prime show Undone?
Oh, you're talking about the one with
The one that's
Horseman?
rotoscoped.
Rotoscope. Yeah. No, I haven't watched it yet.
Is
So,
that the BoJack Horseman guy?
that was done by
Yes, I think so,
Hisako
Raphael
Hulsing.
Bob's
Or,
Roxburgh.
yeah, Raphael Bob's Roxburgh. So, I think that this movie, if it had been done in that
rotoscoping?
style with like some rotoscoping, and then they could like kind of digitally age people. Well, not digitally age, but age them through using
think that
rotoscoping.
would've been
I
perfect
think
for
that,
that show.
would have made like the film
Instead
so
of
much
trying
more
to like
amazing.
hide the children in frame.
Yeah.
The knife has rust on it.
See, I think that's a good because with like as much as I love the cinematography from Mike Giolakis, because of the long takes of the shots, while pretty and engrossing, it doesn't leave a lot of room for the makeup department to be like able to touch up on the face, from the shot to shot. And I think that is like in the graphic novel, you don't have to worry about those physical
That's why
limitations.
it's perfect for its medium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, no, that's why I think
You
it
can
would also
really
be perfect
see
them
the
age.
to
progression.
do it as a film using rotoscoping.
I
I,
gotta
think
say-
that would
Hey,
be
yeah, I think
or
you're
just make-
absolutely right.
or just make it
Rotoscoping
animated.
would've worked.
yeah.
or just animated.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
Well, I think that
Rotoscoping is a
visually
type of
because
animation.
it's so kind of
Surrealistic?
surreal.
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
you
that
know,
actually
it
works.
would
The
work incredibly
aging
well.
It does not work in this because like
No.
the parents, they basically don't age until like the end, and then like they're suddenly like at the end of their lives. The kids
They age in
age, but
chunks.
kind of like in weird chunks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like especially compared to the graphic novel, where it's like every frame you can kind of see them go a little bit older. Like in this, it's so awkward and weird, and like no one really.
It's like they look 6 for like 2 hours,
Yeah.
and then they look 11 for like 4
No,
hours.
they
and
look
then
6 for
16.
2 hours, and then he just hides them for like
while.
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
while.
well, okay. To be
and
fair,
then-
I think that's a creative way to hide your budget, and that's a creative way to like kind
I-
of show
but
aging and
But
stuff.
I would not have
wasn't-
minded.
It wasn't creative because it wasn't good. If it was good, you could call it creative, but
No,
it
I
wasn't
think,
good.
I think look, if what's it called? If your makeup department, like say your budget's not that high, and the what's it called, and then you even without the makeup, you also have to consider the fact that like like to get like a kid every age. Like,
Well,
actor and
they
stuff,
should have allocated. Like, how expensive was this movie to make?
because he financed most of
realistically?
this movie himself.
Okay.
Yeah, that's another problem.
Well, then spend
They
more
should-
money on makeup. It's the most fucking important part of the movie.
That's another thing. I don't think he should finance his own films because I think like even though
You
it's
need
over,
someone to be like,
yeah, he needs somebody to tell him, "Hey, that's not working."
it's not even that because like he says unlimited creativity and a free reign, which I don't think is that good for M Night Shyamalan.
I'm
I think,
not
I
really
think he
for
has
that.
Zack Snyder syndrome right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, but the thing is, because he's putting his own money, he's putting his own self limitations, right? He's basically his own creative executive, where he's like, oh, I can't do this because like money, I can't make this rated R because of box office returns.
Yeah.
And I think that like hampered a lot of his things. And I bet you he's probably like, the audience might not know this. And I want the audience to understand so more people can watch it. So he adds more exposition and more people to understand. Like, and it's like,
I was on the
It's
swim
so
team.
bad though. It's the exposition is so bad. I don't think there's like a 30-second window of this movie that has silence. Every time anything happens, like they have to fucking explain it. Oh my god, you have wrinkles now. This knife has rust. We're gonna go eat pasta with our hands.
Yeah.
How many times do they mention mid-sized sedans nosebleed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
so many times. So
We
many
can
times.
see it.
Yeah, it's visually there.
And it's weird. I feel so bad for the cinematographer because he's putting out his heart there.
Yeah.
He's like him working with the colorist. Like he's making the blues pop. He's making like the colors pop. It was shot on 35mm film. Like they're doing a lot visually to make it look as good as
I said,
possible.
there's a lot of the cinematography I like, but it's just not backed by anything.
You know
So-
who what else he shot? He shot Under the Silver Lake and It
wow.
Follows and Split. Like all the films, whether the quality, I liked every film
It's
that I
got to do with
mentioned.
color.
The dark scenes definitely looked the best out of the entire film. I think the ones where they were more in darkness, especially like the cave scene, which I will say in the cave scene.
When you mean the cave scene where it's like he's healing.
I think personally, I think that was the best scene of the entire movie.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
I-
I like I said, I wish I'm gonna watch this again with Leia on
So sorry.
with like because that's one of the reasons why I won't be able to Sundays because my mom she was there's a whole thing, but basically she wants to they want to watch Old, and then I told them we're all gonna drink, and we have to drink, and I'm gonna be drunk while watching Old the second time.
It'll
So-
probably be more enjoyable.
I'm gonna start a rumor right here that the cinematographer literally told M Night Shyamalan that he wasn't allowed to go in the caves because there wasn't enough room for him, and that's why it looks so good and why it was done so well because they kicked M Night Shyamalan out and he just did it on his
just
own.
that one scene, but like the scenes where they were trying to escape were so stupid.
Yeah.
like the camera started like moving back and forth.
Right.
It's like literally like
stupid.
It reminded
and
me.
he's
agree
like,
with that.
my head. Everyone wakes up and says, my head, it hurts. Like,
like 5 times.
Yeah.
It's like okay, we get it. Like yeah,
I was on the
you
swim
pass
team.
out.
I was on the swim team.
I do agree with that. That's probably one of my visual things that was annoying whenever they try to escape
Yeah.
the head.
Could you ever? This is just a question because I didn't notice the coral until they talked about it at the very end. Did they ever show that until the very end?
Yeah, they did,
Oh,
they did.
okay.
By the way, that's so fucking okay.
One,
Let's
Yeah, that was so
speaking
dumb.
of exposition, really quick, one thing I thought was really funny. So I saw this with our good friend Sam and our good friend Ricardo. in the fucking beginning of this movie, they are hammering down like foreshadowing in the most obvious and worst way possible. Like they're driving to the car and it's like, oh my god, I can't wait for you to grow up. We all look at each other.
Yeah, no, she literally says, I can't wait to hear you when you're older.
And then, like, a few scenes later, you're such a little kid. And then, like, as they're driving to the facility and M. Night Shyamalan's, like, driving them, literally, it's when they're unpacking things, can we get help here? We have an elderly person and a baby.
Yeah, no, everything is explained.
Like, 5 times.
Yeah, it's... Oh, gosh. It's called... It's... Oh, gosh. This film just gave me...
No one would shut the fuck
when the
up.
baby dies. When the baby dies.
Oh my
they're
God.
like, it died from lack of attention. Like...
This speech is too fast-paced for this baby.
I think
One visual I did like... Sorry, Miles. Real quick. When they... After the baby died and they're going to, like, lay him to rest, and, like, he had already decomposed and, like, his ashes or whatever were falling out, and you hear the rattling of the bones, I'm like, ew, that's gross. That kind of worked for me, but...
I think that if they had kind of stuck a little bit with some of like the stuff from the cave scene during when the girl's pregnant and literally had it where, oh yeah, the baby is aging so fast that it's like growing inside you and now it's too big to get out. And then they had to give her like an emergency C-section. Then they wouldn't have had to pan away and you could have seen her get like cut open and then pull the
exactly. I
baby
agree
out.
with that.
And like, oh, that would have been creepy and really fucking cool, I think.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
The surgery scene, dude, that could have been a good scene and it sucked. And I remember
The angle was horrible.
Let me say this.
The tumor was so big,
Let me
dude.
say this. Let me say this.
That was
I
hilarious.
haven't been to medical school. I'm pretty sure taking out a tumor is a little more complicated. Than
Yeah,
Yes.
they were setting at the beginning. I thought she was dying.
Yeah.
like
She should have
and-
just... I would have been okay if she actually just died.
Yeah.
That would have been a cool, like, plot development.
Actually, with benign tumors, you know, they were like, oh yeah, it's connected a little bit to the muscle tissue, but overall, like, it's pretty unconnected. And the doctors were going to leave it in her anyways, because they're like, oh yeah, it's like nothing to worry about. So I think that they probably could have pulled it out the way that they did. And I think that does make sense.
I still think
But
that
it was a
doing
little
a
bit
surgery is probably more complicated than getting like a pocket knife and carving
Yeah.
it out of someone.
Yeah, but
I guess you could
but-
say
He
but
was a
when you're-
doctor. Did you know he was a doctor, Blake?
Oh, I knew he was a doctor.
No,
Oh,
but
yeah.
but also with the rapid healing thing that they did introduce, I guess it makes sense. Okay, because she can heal rapidly,
Still.
you don't have to take as many of the precautions. But then there was the thing with the rusty knife and like, oh, one little bit of
Yeah,
rust.
she didn't get an infection from him shoving
Exactly.
his entire
Yeah.
hand into it.
Inconsistency.
Yeah. So one of the things I noticed that was kind of weird early on in the film was that the parents, they were talking about, basically they get out there to the island, they have a nice day at the resort, and then that night you see the parents just fighting and they're like, oh, we're going to get a divorce and stuff like that. And it was like not hinted at all.
Yeah.
You know, it was kind of just out of the blue. And it's like, oh yeah, we're going to give the kids one last good day before we tell them.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay.
Okay, there was one shot before that outside of their hotel suite, and it's like panning back and forth, and you see the kids playing in one room, the dad's like walking around doing whatever the fuck he's doing, and then the shot finally ends on the mom standing outside, like looking really sad. So there was that minor hint that something was not right with them, but it wasn't enough because he doesn't know how to tell us that without just saying we're getting a divorce. Like,
Yeah,
it's so robotic and stupid.
I think it would have worked better if they had built up like tension between the parents a little bit in
Yeah,
the scenes preceding that, where you don't really know what's going on. And then he could still do like the, oh, we're getting divorced thing. And then it's like an aha moment for you instead of like, you know, what it was where it was just out of the blue.
Yeah.
And then they go to the kids in the kids' room and Maddox is holding her younger brother and she's like, it's okay. It's okay. And it's like, sounds like they stopped fighting. And it's like the kids obviously know what's going on. Like, just be honest with yourself. You guys are
They can
horrible
literally
parents.
hear them.
Yeah.
They can hear the parents
Yeah,
fighting.
but
Like,
you're assuming that there's nuance and the kids even understand. This is an M Night Shyamalan movie. They're like, okay, what do they write? Ice cream party? Question mark.
yeah, ice cream eating contest tomorrow.
Okay.
That was him with his little friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who was the nephew of the like head guy in charge.
Because I had something to bring up because I don't know if it was a problem literally with the movie or it was a problem with the theater I saw it at. Was
Theater?
Stop saying theater.
Okay, catch up. Burglars. Was the
disgust me.
audio bad, or was the theater I was at have like technical problems? I noticed this weird.
Did you watch it in Dolby, IMAX, or digital?
I just watched it at a regular screening at Harkins.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with the audio.
Okay,
So I watched it in
think
Dolby, and the audio was fine.
okay. I think
thought
it might have been
great.
it might have just been the theater I saw it at, but like there was this weird thing where when a character would talk, it sounded to me like they were like 100 miles away, even though they were right next to the other character. I don't know. The audio channels are just off, but I think this might just be a literal problem with the theater I was at.
Yeah, I didn't have any
Okay,
issues.
yeah, that's
I
probably
watched a
just-
normal screening at Regal, and it was fine.
What did you guys think about the baby crying, audio-wise? Because I watched it in Dolby, and it sounded so amazing
sounded
because they
very
got like
real.
the spatial sound, and it sounded like
An actual baby was in
like
the
two
theater.
rows behind me there was a baby
Yeah,
crying,
I
and I
agree.
was like, yeah,
That was the. I remember thinking there was a baby in the theater.
yeah, I thought that was great audio design. Surprisingly,
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it sounded good.
Commit to having a baby. Don't just kill it off. It died because of lack of
Yeah, the
attention.
baby survived in the fucking
graphic novel.
and it was fine. Like, I feel like he put way too much time and effort into like making.
The baby.
Well, no, not the baby. The
Vampire baby.
healing and how it would like realistically affect a human.
Well, that
like
was him
this thing.
overtly trying to explain shit. He was over-explaining stuff. It's fine. The graphic novel doesn't explain shit, and it's fine.
Yeah.
He really wanted to, like... And also, he goes out of his way to, like, kind of be like, this is why this is like this. Like, obviously, the characters don't age that well throughout the thing. There isn't, like, a good consistency where every shot they're getting older and older, and he goes out of his way to explain that. He's like, it's because they're kids, and they have to grow faster, but it's very slight.
Yeah, it's dumb.
It's dumb. Did you guys laugh
kids
out loud?
eat a lot of food. Kids eat a lot of food.
Did you guys laugh out loud at any part?
Yeah.
I
I
laughed
did.
out loud with when the guy's losing his mind to dementia. And he's like, "I'm the chief surgeon." He's like
Yeah.
stabbing away at the main father. He's like, "He's gonna break
That went
into-
on for way
He's
too
gonna
long.
break into my house and steal my shit." And it was going on and on. I was laughing hysterically, but I was trying not to because like there was like an elderly couple next to me, and I could tell they were enjoying the movie. And I was like, "I'm not trying to ruin this," but it was fucking hilarious, dude. It just keeps going on and on and on. Like,
Yeah.
I'm the chief medical officer.
I think that kind of warmed me up for when I laughed, because when I really like laughed audibly and had everybody in the theater staring at me was when the lady who Crystal, I think her name was. Yeah. Crystal was like, "Oh, the calcium is
Oh, that was
affecting
really
my
funny.
bones.
Calcium.
Turn the light off," and then throws fucking rocks at the kids,
Yeah.
and then starts chasing them, breaking every bone in her body, looking just like this disfigured mess. Which they did that amazingly. It looked
It
looked amazing,
creepy. It
Yeah.
looked creepy.
Like it could have like that looked like, you know, a
Too
top
bad
of the
they
shelf
ruined
horror
it
movie
by having her
Yeah.
have to explain why it's happening, even though
her
we estab-
bones are healing too fast, and like, okay,
We
yeah,
estab-
We
established that.
understand that.
yeah.
Yeah.
God, this movie was a nightmare, man. There was another thing I wanted to talk about, but I can't remember. Yeah, so I think they took it too far with the dementia guy too. Like,
Well,
Well,
they,
no,
at
he
in the
wasn't-
novel, he has dementia. In
Yeah.
this, they said he's schizophrenic.
oh, okay.
Which
So
I didn't get the schizophrenic thing. I got the dementia thing. Or maybe he's like a psychopath posing as somebody who's schizophrenic.
No, I think he is. Like, he has
I
a
don't know.
mental, Like, he has some kind of
yeah, but like,
degenerative-
and also schizophrenia doesn't. They do this in movies. They make schizophrenia like turn you into a murderous.
Yeah.
fucking-
Also, it's important to note.
Really, you're just-
schizophrenia-
No, he was like
The
a,
point, okay, this contradicts like what they're trying to do with the pharmaceutical extension to the movie. Because okay, they're saying they're gonna take these people on a beach and give them a supplement or like give them their drugs or whatever and see what it does, and it's so they can play out an entire lifetime and see what it does to the person.
Yeah.
In this fucking thing, the guy, I guess, his schizophrenia gets worse because of the rapid aging. But in real life, schizophrenia, I think it becomes apparent around the time that you're 20. That's like an actual
It depends. Yeah, that's most common.
But
But,
it
like,
very
you can
rarely-
be diagnosed whenever.
Very
like,
rarely will it be past like the age 25 though.
Some people like have breaks at like 30, 35. and-
well, I think that they kind of allude to the fact that he had been suffering with this for a long time. And like Crystal was like, I can't protect you anymore. And he had a big issue with it. And this was like something that the family had been covering for a long time. And,
God.
he always was making excuses about it.
Do you guys remember that scene where they're trying to make like a Safdie Brothers-esque tense scene? It's like he has to do it like the doctor. Do you know he's a doctor? He has to do the surgery to remove the tumor, and it's tense, and people are like yelling at each other. And he's like, as he's doing it, he's like, "What's that movie? Did you know that
Jack Nicholson?
Jack Nicholson, and who is it?
I forget the other.
He's like Jack Nicholson and this other big actor. They shared a movie, and like everyone's talking over each other. I'm like, oh my god, he's really trying to do like that Safdie brother like high anxiety scene, and it just was like funny.
It wasn't working. Like I felt nothing for this entire movie. Like there was no tension for me. There was no like nothing like really shocked me, except for maybe the bone cracking scene. That was kind of like.
I'm surprised he didn't go. These are the ashes and the bones.
Yeah, of the baby.
I'm sure that he said that and they just cut it out.
And also, I wish that they had shown more gore. I really.
It should have been R.
Yeah, it should have been R, and it should have been kind of more of a gore fest. They had so many like great opportunities with that. Like
that tumor scene cutting in, like they showed the cut, and then they showed the comically large tumor come out. But like if you were able to like see in there, and their like hands are like. The wound is trying to like heal itself, but they're like keep ripping it open.
Instead, they're just talking about the wound's healing around my hands. Like that would have been fucking cool to see.
It would have been creepy. It would have been really creepy. Make it R. It should have been R. It just should have been.
Do you guys want to get more into the twist? Because this is becoming okay. So M Night Shyamalan doesn't do twists so much anymore, but I've noticed the theme in his last 3 movies. In lieu of having a twist, he adds on a weird extension that makes the movie fundamentally different in theme. So in Split, obviously, the extension is, this takes place in the Unbreakable universe. Have you seen Glass?
No, I have not.
Do you care about spoilers? Okay, so at the end of Glass, here's the thing. Glass doesn't work for me. It looks amazing, like visually, but it just doesn't work for me as a movie. I admire the fuck out of what he was trying to tell in the last 15 minutes of Glass. This just feels like the wrong avenue. I think if you're gonna... So basically the end of Glass is... all spoilers for Glass, by the way. In the last 15 minutes, all 3 main characters die. James McAvoy, Mr. Glass, and David Dunn, Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
And the point of their deaths are that they inspire other people to become like superpowered or like to use. Have you seen Glass?
No, I haven't.
Basically it creates this inspiration, and like the kids and like other people that were involved are like now like all this crazy shit's gonna happen. And also at the end of Glass, it's revealed that there's a secret society where they have they all have like these tattoos of, what are that called? Like it's like an Irish thing of the Lucky Clover.
The Celtic,
they all have like Lucky
4-leaf clover.
They all have like 4-leaf clovers. So there's like also a secret society that's like suppressing knowledge of superheroes. So it's almost like trying to be like an origin story. It's just not their origin story, which I think is cool. That's a trope I like a lot. I've always been a fan of the trope. This isn't my stories, it's theirs. I think Children of Men kind of does that the best. You remember at the end of Children of Men where he's like, he realizes that he dies.
Yeah.
And he realizes she's the one that has
Spoilers for Children of Men.
Or spoilers for Blade Runner 2049. That one does it really well too. He thinks he's like the chosen one, kind of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it turns out to be someone else. But he still has to fulfill his role. So I like it on paper, but it doesn't work. And in this movie, obviously, they tack on the pharmaceutical shit. So I've noticed a trend with M. Night lately where he really likes to add like a 15-minute scene at the end of his movies recently to tack on some weird extension. So,
yeah.
Because the movie could have just ended with them building sandcastles, like exactly how it does.
I would have liked that way more. Just any like sort of restraint in this movie would have like done
By the way,
it well.
so the end. Let's go over the end of the movie of what happens. Do you want to break it down, or should I, or Miles?
So okay, earlier in the film, they reference like, "Oh, look at the coral out there. It's pretty," or something. And then they're sitting there building their sandcastle at the end. Did we talk about the notes from his friend?
No, we can establish.
Oh, okay. So they established. So they had been there for like 1 day so far.
Yeah.
Right. And he receives like this note from his friend, like that
He
he
took
just
with
made
him.
that he just made like the day before.
Who's the son of the head?
Yeah, and like they show him translating once one of these notes that says, "Oh, there's an ice cream contest tomorrow" or
Yeah.
something like that.
I think it's like, let's eat ice cream. I don't know.
Yeah, and then basically he gets another note that you never see him get. Like if they had like had him slip him the note like shortly before they left or something, that would have been
we
cool.
saw it. I think I may be wrong, but I
No.
feel like I saw it at some point. But I could be
Yeah.
wrong. I could be wrong. Doesn't really matter. He has it at the end. He
yeah.
deciphers it.
But it's like, I think that was dumb storytelling because, you know, in the same way where they, if you guys have ever heard of Chekhov's gun.
Yeah.
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 Okay. They should have, you know, if they're going to have like that big plot point that turns the tide at the end.
It should have been more like.
It should
in
have
the
been
background.
introduced. And it was never introduced,
Jason
I
said
don't
it
think.
might have been. I don't remember personally.
I don't
'cause
remember it being
I'm
introduced.
not gonna lie. The
yeah.
second we're done
Because
recording,
I feel like
not
I
gonna
was
remember
thinking
this.
at that moment, I'm like, oh, he's going to have to decipher this. But I could be wrong. Maybe they didn't show it. Doesn't really matter. He has it. It's dumb. He deciphers it, and it says, "My uncle hates the coral,"
which yeah,
which is it could have been something way better. Like
it could have been like yeah, I don't know. That's like the dumbest way to convey that message.
And why would he say that? Like, unless he knows exactly what the coral does,
Which
he
it's
wouldn't
implied
bring
he
it up.
doesn't.
Yeah, it's implied that he doesn't, so he just randomly says this sentence, like, my uncle hates coral. Why? I don't know. It was dumb.
So I will say, if they had done that, I think that they still could have gotten away with
It would have
like,
been dumb either way.
they could have gotten away with them like kind of going back into the entrance or like a little hidden area in the wall and then like writing on the wall or something, swim through the coral where none of the cameras could see or something, where they kind of come to terms with their own death, but they try to save other people in the future instead
Okay.
of the way that they ended it. I think that would have ended up better because then it's like it leaves it on that cliffhanger ending. I don't think that they should have survived, which big spoiler there. The two kids do end up surviving,
Yeah,
but I don't think they should have.
Okay, I'm gonna get into that after we're done with it. So, point being, they decipher the note, and they're able to swim to the coral, which allows them to escape this crazy zone. Then they, because they set up the cop earlier in a very poor fashion. What's your name and occupation? I'm blah blah blah, and I'm a cop.
Well, first, they swim in, and then like Maddox's character gets stuck, right? And then it cuts away to M Night Shyamalan like looking with binoculars, and he's like, "Yeah, they're dead. They're all dead. Yes, I'm sure. I watched for a minute and a half.
Yeah, bro.
Like, how long can you hold your breath, M Night? Like, a minute and a half is kind of a long time, but not enough to kill many people.
I'd probably die if I was underwater for a minute and a half.
But the thing is, like, you got to think these are kids who've grown up for the last, day.
They
with-
haven't put
without-
anything into their body.
Yeah,
other
and
than,
anything
like, food.
bad.
They're
So-
not smokers. They don't
Yeah.
like. They're probably really healthy.
Yeah,
probably.
incredibly healthy. Yeah.
Okay, but anyways, point being, they get through the fucking coral. M Night Shyamalan is like playing a character, and he's like, "Okay, we're good." He goes back to the facility, and it turns out that this whole thing is basically like FDA testing, but on humans, kind of. They create these. They lure people in with like this great, like, "Oh, you got to come to this resort. It's amazing." Blah blah blah. They kind of select who they want there, and they select people with existing medical conditions. Everyone in this movie has some kind of existing medical condition. And then they basically test their pharmaceutical drugs on them, send them off to this beach so they can live an entire lifetime, so they can study. For example, one of the women has epilepsy. Did you know that? They only tell you 5 times. And I guess they give her some kind of serum that cures her epilepsy for 17 years, which is not possible, by the way.
No, well, I think this is where it stops making sense. So they give them one dose that like would theoretically last a day,
Yeah.
right? But they're aging so quickly. Doesn't that mean their metabolism's moving faster, and they would like force
I
that
think
out?
they're
Like,
trying to
so I
imply
think
that
it's
this...
a cure. So it's not like a treatment. They're trying to research cures. So like, giving somebody this, they were like, oh yeah, she went 16 years without seizures.
Okay.
And it's like, yeah.
And they all start clapping. They're like, we solved epilepsy.
Yeah. And it's like, okay.
But anyways, it is then revealed that the kids survive. The cop is still there chilling at the resort. And then he goes up, he's like, "You're a cop, right?" Yeah, and he hands him a list of names. First of all, wouldn't the cop be like, "What the fuck is this? I don't care."
Yeah.
But
I'm
he
off
doesn't.
duty.
Yeah, I'm on vacation, fucker.
But anyways, the cop, I guess, turns it in or something. He's like, "Oh yeah, these are all missing people. We should look into this." And it ends kind of. We don't really see a lot of the downfall, but it's implied that
No, it's
everything's-
explained. He's like, everyone's been arrested.
Yeah.
And then as they're
Yes,
flying
that's
away.
it.
It,
And
it
then-
wasn't
and then
shown,
it
it was explained.
and
Let's
then-
make that
yes.
very obvious.
And then it ends with the kids on a helicopter going presumably home. Here's my problem with this. What are the kids gonna do? Go home and fucking kill themselves? Like they?
I'm sure they're making a ton of money from this.
Yeah, but they're now 50.
Yeah, but they like are
But
like
very healthy 50
But they did
True.
say, yeah, we contacted your aunt, and then I think that Alex Wolff's character even says, well, it wasn't Alex Wolff playing it at this point.
Yeah,
it was
the Alex Wolff character.
Alex Wolff character. I forget who played him.
Point being,
Yeah.
that character, like,
Yeah.
how'd your aunt take it? How would you take it if
Yeah.
your like nephew called you as a 50-year-old man?
Yeah, and that'd be weird.
Yeah, very weird. It's like random 50-year-old dude calling you to tell you, "Hey, I'm your nephew."
I don't know, like they got fucked. Their whole lives are gone.
Yeah, and they've got no education to speak of.
Yeah, they're still like children.
They
basically.
got the mind of children.
Well, I think their brain might develop.
Yeah, it's probably more developed.
But
Oh,
they still
speaking
have-
of
but
that-
they don't have any life experience. Is
Yeah.
the important part.
They're making a ton of money from this.
It's gonna take like 5 years for the settlement.
whatever,
To
they'll
go
live
through.
with their aunt. It's fine.
Speaking of that, one of like the
They go back to elementary school. Like, what happens next?
one of the dumbest lines in the entire film was when Maddox was speaking to a subcompact SUV or whatever his name is. And
Inside sedan.
yeah.
I said Dan. Why that name?
I don't know. I think he was trying to make a joke about how dumb rapper names are nowadays and wanted to use something that was family friendly for the PG-13
Everyone
rating.
has a dumb fucking name in this movie.
Yeah. He couldn't. And Maddox is just like, yeah, earlier this morning, I would think, and I could only think a few colors, and now I can think a lot of colors. And I was like, that is horrible writing. Horrible writing.
Do you like how everyone has a fucking occupation that helps?
Yes.
I like how the
that's-
guy's like, I'm an actuary, so that's how I know this. And it's
Yeah.
like, that's convenient.
I was on
Which
the
is
swim
fine.
team.
I actually, I think it'd be kind of cool to put an actuary in this situation. Like, I really, the one line I like in this movie is like, statistically, this is impossible. Because actuaries do think like that. They're like very like by the numbers.
Yeah.
But
What was that one movie with like an actuary in it, had a flying rocket car or whatever? I don't know. Basically, he was investigating like insurance fraud claims or some shit. I'm pretty sure like some of the dialogue was stolen directly from that movie. If I remember the name, I'll put it in the description.
did
of the
you
video,
get
but-
Sorry,
yeah.
Jason, you're gonna hate me. Did you get any Lost vibes from this? Okay.
Oh, he was
So-
definitely going for it, like the whole like
a
island
bunch
thing
okay,
with
not just
weird
that.
shit
I'll
going
make
on.
I'll make this less than 30 seconds, Jason. I'm sorry. They're
on the
on a
clock.
beach. That's the obvious one. They're on a beach, but it's also a diverse cast of characters, all with like problems from their backstory. And there's like there's a doctor. One kind of becomes a leader. And should I mention Miles Strom from Lost is in it? I don't know. I just got some Lost vibes.
That's why it sucks.
Miles was a Ghostbuster in Lost.
Okay.
So speaking of mid-sized sedan, when he was first introduced, what did you guys think?
Well, I read the graphic novel,
Oh,
so I
okay.
already kind of knew where his character was going.
Yeah.
Although that character doesn't get murdered in the graphic novel, right? He gets attacked by the doctor.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, no, I think he
doesn't
dies
die.
naturally.
Yeah, I think he does. Almost everyone dies naturally in the graphic novel.
Yeah.
Everyone just like dies off in this. And like I said, one of my biggest problems too is the parents essentially don't age until they're just like ready to die.
They add some wrinkles.
It's not enough.
No,
and
it's not.
when they do it, like everything else in this movie, it's not subtle. It's so obvious. Like they zoom in and like now the character has wrinkles and it's like,
Yeah.
So when I first saw him, I was like, okay, I didn't think that he was actually a human. I didn't read the graphic novel beforehand. I figured that he was like sort of like what Blake said about Lost, you know, how they have the smoke that can take on the form of a
I
human.
thought he
And
was going to be like some entity.
yeah, that he was just like
I
some
thought
entity.
that while reading the graphic novel as
Yeah.
well. I was like, this guy's here, he's probably like in on it in
Connected.
some way.
And he's like always sitting off to the side, kind
yeah,
of like.
yeah.
Well, he's the outsider, which causes the tension in the graphic novel and in this, where it's some of the people don't trust him because it's like, well, we got
Just
here,
the
there's-
doctor. The doctor's
got-
an
well, but-
asshole.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's more obviously an asshole in this. He's an asshole in the graphic novel too, but this takes everything to the 100th degree.
Are you gonna break into my house and steal
Oh my
my
God.
things?
God.
Yeah, the doctor's super racist, which
Yeah.
actually is from the graphic novel though too. He is kind of racist in the graphic novel
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
But
Also, he's
I'm a chief medical surgeon.
Mm.
Should we talk about the fucking rusty knife thing? So okay. So this movie, it's one concept.
fucking hate this.
There is one concept that they dabbled in that the graphic novel does not, that I thought was kind of cool. The whole idea that rapid healing, right? Because it's like they cut someone and it's immediately a healing scar, and it's like eventually almost gone. That's kind of cool. They established that when the doctor slashes the outsider at first.
Out of
It-
fucking nowhere.
No,
Yeah,
but
and
let
then
me-
he's like, he was gonna attack me. Didn't you guys see that? And I was like, what
okay,
the fuck?
but let me finish this. They established the rapid healing because of like scars just like start to heal up really fast, and it's like a plot point they use throughout the movie. Towards the end, the schizophrenia doctor guy, he's going fucking crazy. He's like attacking one of our main characters, and he's like, "I'm the chief medical surgeon. She's gonna break into my house and steal my stuff. What is that movie?" And like I'm laughing hysterically because this is hilarious. But the way they get out of it is the wife comes up with a rusty knife and explains to the camera. She like literally stops and looks at the camera basically. And
well,
is
she
like,
cuts him first.
yeah, and then she's
And
like,
then it doesn't heal properly.
and then she's like, "That's because rust acts like a poison in your bloodstream." And then like he's like convulsing and shit, and like his whole body is turning like miscolored, and like it's like the lead poisoning. But she's as it's happening, she's explaining it as it's happening. It's a rusty knife. Don't you see? Don't you see? Do you see this? Do you know what's going on? And that's the whole fucking movie. Is M Night Shyamalan's like, "Do you see this? Do you understand?"
It's insulting. It's insulting. Like, do you really think we're that stupid? Like, people have been watching movies for generations, M. Night.
My calcium! There's a woman, and it's like that scene would have worked so well if they didn't have to explain it. They literally establish it. Her first scene, she's at the resort and she asks for like some kind of tea that's got calcium supplements in it, and she's like, "I actually need this. So is that there? Because I've got a bad calcium thing."
I think that was actually fine. I think that was interesting because I wasn't sure if like she actually had a calcium deficiency or she was like at the beginning or like she was just a health nut that was kind of bitchy.
This movie,
But also, it's stupid because, like, if these people didn't eat an orange for like 3 hours, they would start getting scurvy. You know, like it's a
No, because they kind of
it doesn't make sense.
don't
We shouldn't have to
explain it,
try to
yeah.
decipher it.
No, but like the problem is that it's a distinct difference from the book and the movie is the book doesn't feel the need to explain any of this.
Yeah,
and this movie does. And when you like break it down, like there's a lot of inconsistencies in it because they had to be like, well, yeah, you heal like this. If she doesn't get her fucking calcium, then she's gonna her back's gonna break. Like, and it's just like, okay, well, if she doesn't get calcium and these people don't get vitamin C or whatever, that like.
Yeah,
Bad
I
things
get
will
what you're
happen. Like it's dumb. It's dumb. Stop it.
Who
M.
eats
Night.
pasta with their hands?
and then I don't know. I think this is a dumb thing, and we can cut this if you guys think that this is too weird. But what about periods?
That's in the graphic
That's
novel.
in the graphic novel.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, like
Yeah.
briefly,
Briefly.
like one of the girls, probably the girl who plays who's Maddox in the
Yeah.
movie. She has a different name in the novel. She gets her period.
Yeah.
So
But
yeah,
wouldn't it like constantly
it
be
would
happening?
have to. It would have to.
And like and the
Yeah, that's
cramping would
why
be like
just-
so painful that they couldn't even fucking move.
And I
without-
hate comparing it to the graphic novel because I'm not a kind of guy that needs to compare shit to source material.
Yeah.
Like, what's a good example of something famous that's been adapted?
The Shining.
The Shining. Who the fuck cares? It's its own thing.
Yeah.
But it owns being its own thing. This movie tries just hard enough to be an adaptation while also being something completely different. And it drives me insane. But the one thing the graphic novel did, who cares? They're aging. This movie, like every scene, they're like, well, actually, the reason this is happening is because of. It's like, shut up! I don't care. Just make a movie. It's fine. It does. This is a dumb fucking plot, anyways. You can just Have fun with it. Please, have fun with it. Just make a goddamn good movie and don't explain everything to me over and over and over again.
Especially when you...
Calcium!
Especially when you're explaining it poorly, because...
The knife has fucking rust on it. Did you notice? Did you fucking notice?
Yes.
I'm surprised they weren't like, this is a beach.
We're on a beach.
We're on a beach.
That is the ocean over there.
Water.
Okay, let's tone it down,
We
guys.
were children, now we are adults. Pharmaceutical companies. M Night Shyamalan. Oh my god, I'm sorry, I forgot about this. The name and occupation thing. When they get to M Night Shyamalan, what's your name and occupation? Then it just cuts away. I'm surprised. I'm surprised I direct thrillers.
I'm in this movie.
No, he's like, my name's M Night Shyamalan. The rest of your lives are mine. No, but that is one thing. So the twist ending, I say that with air quotes.
It's not a twist ending. It's an
not.
extension to
No,
the
no, no. But
story.
it was totally like something that they wanted it to be, the twist ending.
It wasn't. It wasn't.
But you could see it coming from a mile away.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, and that's something that I see constantly in M. Night Shyamalan movies. He's like, oh, what a twist. And, putting a twist ending on things. But it's the most obvious thing ever. It's like, if you're going to have a twist ending, make it something interesting. Make it be like not something that people figured out an hour ago in your film.
Yeah, well, I didn't think it was a pharmaceutical thing going on, but I knew they were being studied for some reason. And it's just, I don't know, it was so anticlimactic. It's just like, we cured epilepsy, yay, and then they all get arrested, and it's just like, okay.
So, and
who fucking cares?
another concept that I thought could have been cool, and they could have run with, is those symbols. Instead of him getting another note from his friend, do something where it's like, in the hatches in Lost, where it's like, there's like some weird mysterious thing going on. Yeah. When they go into the caves, I didn't know how much the film had left at that point. I thought they were going to go into the caves, get chased by that lady, get deeper into the caves, and there was going to be like some like mural of weird symbols and stuff. And because this kid has like that, really good memory or whatever, he's going to remember like the symbol cheat sheet that his friend gave him and like decode like the secret answer that's hidden away in this compartment and then rescue people. I thought that could have been a cool concept, but no, it's just, swim through the coral. Yeah, that would have been smart. There's so many ways to fix
Not the greatest,
this
but it would have worked better than my uncle doesn't like the coral. Let's swim there. I don't know.
I just feel like anybody, well, not anybody, not Zack Snyder, definitely, but pretty much anybody could have done this movie better than M. Night Shyamalan.
Like, I don't know that this graphic novel needs I don't know that this graphic novel really needs an adaptation. It works fine. And I don't know. Like, the graphic novel's okay. Like, I don't even love it. I was just like, it was a good read. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, this didn't need... It's not adaptable in a movie format, in my opinion. I think it would be a great episode of The Twilight Zone. I think it'd be a great... If they wanted the pharmaceutical twist, it could be a great episode of Black Mirror, maybe, but...
Actually, yeah. It could have made a good episode of Black Mirror.
I don't know about Black Mirror, though, because it's still got, like, some weird shit. Like, Black Mirror doesn't touch, like, supernatural... Like, they never... They go out of their way to explain everything, but why, like, this area in specific doesn't. Yeah. And I'm fine with that. Thank God there's not another 30 minutes of people being like, it's because of the sun rays. Like...
So, and I just want to, kind of reiterate this point. As you guys can tell...
I'm a doctor.
As you guys can tell, we obviously really wanted this to work. We aren't just hating this out of hating it.
I want every movie to work.
But this one specifically, like, I think that there was a good concept there. It could have been really interesting. And, the fact that we're trying to find so many ways to make this work just shows how bad the execution on this film actually was. And it wasn't a problem with the concept, where there's some movies where the concept just is subpar and it's going to be bad.
You can make, I don't know, I feel like you can make anything good. You just have to make it good.
Any movie
has the potential.
Any story that can be told can be good.
Has the potential to be great.
But this one was actually fairly easy to get right, and he still didn't get it right.
Making movies is hard, though. People forget that.
It's making movies is hard, but it's a profession. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, if it's your thing that you do.
I guess I just don't know why this went so wrong. I don't know what he was on his way to make a comeback, and he still might. I mean, I think the new trajectory for M. Night is bad one, good one, bad one, great one, terrible one. You know what I mean? I think it's just going to be jumping up and down forever.
Yeah.
Because I do want to end this on an epilogue about M. Night. We don't have to wrap up right now. Do you guys have a lot more to say, or?
I don't have much more to say, but we don't have too much more time.
All right,
Okay.
Jason.
No, I'm fine. I mean, sorry, real quick, just to go back to what Miles was saying. I think the biggest issue with this movie, as we have hammered it home, is the fact that like he doesn't trust his audience.
Yeah.
Like, you trusted us when you made The Sixth Sense. You trusted us when
you made Split.
When you made Split, yeah. But now, for whatever reason, like, you think this is too hard for us to understand, and it's just like, we get it, and there would be way more tension. It would be way creepier if we weren't being fed everything at every moment. Just fucking show some restraint.
All right,
I think he really needs to add a co-writer. If he's still going to write his own stuff, I think he at least needs to add a co-writer and find somebody to actually help him on the production side who's going to shoot down his ideas once in a while.
I want to add an epilogue to M. Night. Like, despite like a lot of his movies not working at all, I genuinely have kind of an appreciation for him. He is making these like weird fucking original movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's cool. And even in his like, he had a John Krasinski like, did you have it in your theater where he like talks? And he makes a good point. He's like, I've been making original movies for 20 years, motherfucker. Original thrillers. And that's true. They don't always work. Some of them they range from amazing to awful and everything in between.
Yeah.
But I gotta appreciate that though too. That fuck it, he finances his own films. That's something I'm almost always for. Like, I like that he can just make whatever the fuck he wants. That's cool and it's unheard of. It's not just like Marvel movie number 8,000. It's not just like a by the numbers like John Wick like action movie. It's not just the same old shit. Unfortunately, it just doesn't always work out.
Yeah, I will always respect people in
I
Hollywood.
consider
I will always respect people in Hollywood who
make original shit.
Make their own shit and really don't give in to studio pressure or anything. Like, I always will respect M. Night. I just again, like, same thing with Zack Snyder. Like, I know his potential. I know both of their potential.
Well, Zack Snyder, he does more like.
But he always does what he wants. He always gets what he wants.
But M. Night's like doing a lot more like weirder and more original shit. And that's something. All of M. Night's movies, the ones that really don't work, the fucking happenings, and with the exception of Avatar: The Last Airbender, that one's inexcusable. But like The Happening, this, and like I don't know, Lady in the Water, I consider them admirable failures. Like whatever, it didn't work, but at least he tried something different.
So I take this back to working with groups, in anything in life. Sometimes when you have a key member of the team who's very good at what they do, and they're kind of the only person who is in control of everything that's happening with the team, such as what's been happening with M. Night Shyamalan in a lot of his films, stuff can actually get worse over time, unfortunately, because there's no new mixture of ideas coming in. People are afraid to tell him that he's wrong or that his ideas are bad. People just kind of go with what he has because he is the expert.
George Lucas.
Yeah, George Lucas is like maybe even the more extreme example where it's like, oh, those prequels came out real bad.
Yeah.
And
like fundamentally everything about them.
And I will say, I don't hate that M. Night Shyamalan did this. I'm disappointed that he did it because I think that it could have been done by somebody else better.
It could have been done by him better, which is the problem for me. Like, he can do it. He can do it. He just sometimes is just like, I don't want to.
Did he phone this one in? Like,
no, I don't think so.
If he financed it himself, I don't think he did. I don't know. It's just one of his off years. I don't know. Like,
also, what was with the weird accents? It felt like accents kind of kept on shifting and drifting throughout the entire film.
Yeah, I mean,
it was
the inconsistency in the performances that was ever present in this movie.
All right, do we want to give our ratings unless we have anything else to say?
Well, I think it's time for us to give our ratings. As you guys can probably tell already, You probably know what our ratings are, but
Miles.
I will start off. So I would put this one into the shit bucket, unfortunately. I think that it could possibly have a rated R recut done, depending on how much extra stuff they shot. And if they originally intended this to be rated R, and they do have some more of the graphic stuff, and if it's released like that, I would watch it again and maybe come back for a review. But for now, it's definitively in the shit bucket. Philip?
So my overall rating for this film, I gotta say, it's a big disparity between M Night Shyamalan, visual director, and the writer. I think like visually, actually, I'd probably give more credit to the cinematographer, but yeah, shit bucket. I had fun though. I will definitely get drunk watching it a second time.
Okay, what about
And
you,
Jason?
Whatever happened to unrated movies? You remember those in the early 2000s?
just-
I want an unrated version of this.
Isn't that just for DVD?
what?
Isn't that just for DVDs, unrated?
Yeah, well, but yeah, like if this were to be released on DVD or Blu-ray and they had an
Yeah,
unrated
is that
version,
okay?
I'd watch it.
Remember all those shitty comedies that have that stamp? It's like a
Yeah,
red stamp.
unrated. The
And then
version
they're-
you couldn't see in
And then they're like
theaters.
barely R-rated.
Yeah.
Like, barely.
But yeah, shit bucket for me as well. I think the shit bucket is the only rating we should have.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, Philip. I'm gonna have to invent a new rating.
But
My rating for this is admirable failure. I won't put it in the shit bucket. The shit bucket for me is reserved for anti-art.
What was
Shit bucket-
admirable about this?
That it was an attempt at something different.
It was an attempt.
Yeah, but okay, the shit
didn't
bucket for me.
succeed at all.
Okay,
For me-
okay.
no.
Just because I attempt to go compete in the Olympics doesn't mean that I'll make the team.
For me,
I think you'd make the team. Miles.
for me, shit bucket is reserved for something that I see as soulless, as something that just terrible.
So the
there was no
MCU.
love, there was no care.
That's
there
not
was
true,
no-
Miles.
There are
Those people love those movies.
There are movies in the MCU that are in the shit bucket. That's for sure.
Okay.
But not all of them. But like fucking I don't know. The shit bucket is reserved for me as like the.
You didn't
super...
put Black Widow in the shit bucket.
I know I didn't.
What Marvel movie would you put in the shit bucket?
Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Black Widow is like probably the worst one.
Avengers: Age of Ultron is its own rating class. That's like shit's wild, man. I don't know. Point being, I don't know. I reserve my shit buckets for things that I find extremely cynical, extremely soulless, and extremely just like this wasn't real. So for this one, admirable failure. I'm inventing a new rating system. I know. Every week I have a problem with our rating system. I can't be confined. But yeah, so I guess that was our discussion on Old and also Howl's Moving Castle. So very, very fun. Next week, Green Knight?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, maybe. Who knows?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully. I'm excited for Green Knight.
As am I.
Yeah. Let
Very
us know your thoughts on Green Knight in the comments, and if you got good thoughts, maybe we'll shout them out. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
I'm on the swim team.
We've been Half a Clue, and I was
we've
Miles.
been half a clue.
Yeah. Well, we are Half a Clue. I'm Miles.
Clue half Blake.
I'm Jason. Be sure to like the video,
Subscribe
please.
and comment. Please
Yeah.
comment.
Man, do
And,
it. Or not. Who gives a shit, really?
And honestly, like, if you want to make fun of us in the comments,
That's
that's
fine.
totally fine with us.
Yeah, Jason's very easy to make fun of. Trust me.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
So is
we'll
Blake.
we'll probably join you in making fun of the other
yeah.
guys on the podcast. So
But yeah, very, very, very fun and exciting stuff. Always remember my calcium. All right, good number here.
okay,
Thanks, guys.
bye.